Pozdrav Dominik, pozdrav. Ideš mi se upalit? Ivanovo, poz. Ajde, upali se, upalim ti. Iću kod sutra. A što bi ispokretan povodom toga? Andix, pozdrav. Pozdrav mi ova mapa.
Oh yeah, looking at this bus drop as well, I wouldn't be surprised if just as we can see on the screen, a lost lane.
Ajmo, gledamo povijestan fight. Hoće li biti 12-0? Pade jedan. Podosaj krekan. Onda rezo. Cherry one. Pade Cherry. Pade Svizi. Nema metaka. Kami van. Pade Kami. Pade set. Epic Sentinel si ima I čovko. But starting off the major finals 0-1 in favor of Akira, X-Sweez and Podosai. This is about more than just winning game number 1 here to Kai. Kvizi clean ovo svoje. Kim sam kona? Kvizi. Ne valja ti map. Pozdrav mo. How that strike back occurs later on, but shifting things on over here in Seaport City, we do see the map has in fact not held true. Queasy's trio has taken over. Yeah, we talked about this. Were they really going to drop at Kappa Kappa Canyon, or were they going to go back to their roots? A Queasy očigledno ono, mums je. Sad ćemo vidjeti. Cringe and Cade have a difficult situation. I'm trying to see in terms of elimination advantages though. Cade does have an elim, so although in terms of heals, in terms of shields, they don't look too healthy. They do have that player advantage. But ni skrije lenda dolje, brat. Klinali oni svoje. But it doesn't matter because Skavi and Haris have finished this fight off at Shogun's Solitude. And the nice thing about those eliminations taking place at Shogun's, they're so far southwest, so far out of the rest of the action. They have got to be quick still with making this reboot play for Teeny because there could be trouble on the horizon brewing from that birth location. Mislim da mu mapa ne valja. But Savage's trio is bound to have caught wind. Ne, zajebi map. Oh yeah, looking at Warriors watch as well. There are, as you can see, trios contesting each other, and Savage dropping so close by. It could be an opportunity for them to get some tags, especially if these fights take longer than expected. As we look at Predige right now on the elevated position here, trying to crouch around to see if they can get a sneaky angle onto one of the opponents. That initial pump shot can be enough to take home the fight. I like this positioning right now, though, from Predige and also trying to keep a viewpoint on that mountain range to make sure that stavili svako random. This exchange either Predige knows that it is all too easy for, say, the likes of any of those mountain teams to essentially scroll on over, but they're also just so patient. But when you spend this much time without finding eliminations, Takada could be Mislim da te Hajduk malo ubio ovo poslijepodne. Using up a lot of time for this battle. Looking at Franek, Kaisers, and Dynus, this trio actually that Rax is going against. It's their first FNC. Ja nisam gledao, sam ja pao šta na ovom leaderboardu. Pressure is on the line
which
Da
is why
ćemo
we
mi
might
to
be
i...
playing a little bit more scared.
Brojnim crvenima debil, brate,
As we look at
panjine.
Lushi here, who looks
Middle
like,
East.
in terms
Sam
of
pao šta?
Kozlovski and his trio at Hopeful Heights, I was wondering how this engagement would play out. But so
Kuku,
far,
nisam ništa pao.
the fight is going to be commencing. Oni Mask is going to be attempting
Bloomerim stream.
to escape, but with just 21 HP, I'm not sure if it's going to be
Sam
enough
pa 11
to get
godina i
out.
koala, pa dobro.
But the good news is at least one player made it.
Surely Lushi, Loki, and Monet, though, are not content with allowing Adams to survive
Ćao Zelena, čao.
scenario. It'd be
Jebeš mapu igrati, jebeš
a lot
FNCS,
more
jebeš
likely
mapu,
to
brate.
anticipate potential
Nije
team
ušla u
those
Discovery,
rated
tako da
cards
ono,
instead. You
rip.
know it's a solo, you know he's going to be really easy to pick off, but they might not even give him the chance. In fact, Lushi, Loki, Monet, all too easily closing in. They've already got one, going for the full.
Liv še ganja ove,
Just
brate.
yet. Managed to hide behind the body, but Monet closes that gap, no problem with those Oni masks. Still, one more left to go.
Gonna regroup now, see if they can get a bit of space here. So interesting.
Kako si? Evo, dobro je.
battle that's commencing on this east
Dobro
side
je.
of the map. I mean,
Gledamo malo
three
FNCS.
trios contesting each other back to back. So it
Bebe,
really just
sad ću
comes
vidjeti,
down
ma
to
džabet.
third party in these engagements and staying up. And look, the big talks in the lobby. Vico, Veno, Flixi already getting aggressive as they look for a wall retake here. Any option.
24 playera prvi put igrao FNCS granice danas.
This one off.
This is huge, though. This is not
This mini
a
live
place that
event.
you would necessarily expect
Ma.
to see Vico, Veno, and Flixi so soon. Upple's team now doing what they can. They're
7 od
still
14
wide open,
finalsa su
leading,
vinuli,
but
ja?
he's gonna whiff, doesn't get the shot that he needs onto Vico, and
Vico
Vico
sve
still
ima.
continuing to hammer away with that pressure, wants to ensure that Upple has his options for a
Inače ljudi, ovaj kog fajta, ovaj Fortnite, taj neki, njega sam ubio u rankedu čisto, taj, njega. On je dobio šitan.
Push away any potential
Baš taj.
third party as Finnick is trying to get shots as they kind of just take these back and forths in somewhat of a soft engagement. Not
Njega sam ošuri.
Fincheck knows.
Sa što on igra granice, a ja ga gledam.
Measures here, especially once one of his teammates gets so cracked, but Vico, just so healthy, can continue to apply so much pressure against Fincheck, trying to get this right side peak angle opened up here. Instead, going to
Opet
look
Vico
for a
bi reloadu.
reposition, because it
Ne vjerujem da je
appears as
Vico
though
igrao
that
reload,
third
tako
party is
da
starting to
nekoga je
tangle with the
fejkao
mix
sigurno.
with Clownski and Moneymaker, and they're
Mislim
cutting
da nema
off
teorije da
positional
Vico danas
options
igra
right now.
reload. Došao novi tim.
This one gets dangerous. Veno's now cracked. This could be tragic for the leading trio going on into this match as Veno is going to do a good job of regrouping. This was key. Veno was staying up top.
Ne,
So
Balkan,
we
ne.
could see this third party come through, which gave him that time to react.
Klonski je
And it
van.
looks like Vico might have even been able to take out Clown. I saw a big pump shot come through, but no knocks, no
Clown je van.
eliminations yet as they continue to go on up.
Dobro, uzeli su Surge.
Hunted, Clownski just barely gonna manage to escape with his life, but it might just be a temporary relief. Vico
Da, oni kijaju,
looking
boli
to
huva.
chase Moneymaker incredibly low as well. What initially looked like
Njega,
such a
njega.
promising option for Surge
Tog
has now
malog.
turned entirely against them. Veno, Flixi, Vico just continuing with their onset of a barrage up against the likes of Moneymaker's team.
Njega.
Looking to see if they can get any connects with the AR. They're not in zone, but this isn't an issue for this trio. The good news is they are going to kind of disengage a little because they've already gotten so much damage, not only from that initial pump, but from the trades they had before in that engagement. So no need to kind of continue the pursuit as now they can refocus up on getting back into zone.
Tatma's Surge, wouldn't be surprised to see them even venture back towards Flooded Frogs. They are fairly notorious for
Šta dva
liking
puta?
to double back to their starting point, just knowing how much loot is likely still left over.
Gripi nemaš ništa,
Their
brat.
main
A dobro,
knobs and
pecać.
Razor, though, kind of holding strong.
Aha, Pinky
They got
fight.
fishing rods, Takata, but with the way that the zone is pulling,
Tyson,
it
Sheila.
might be difficult for them to actually find opportunities to actually get those fish online, because teams already situated deeper inside of the zone are bound to try and hold edge when they know that there's water spots approaching for other teams to fish at.
Da imaš dva
On the other
puta...
side, you got trios like Payson, Trulex, and Chicho who don't have to worry about being in zone because they're so central on the map already. This is a trio that have consistently, like mentioned was Levening, gone into the top 10. They can make it to end games.
Pa dobro.
They've got their surge strategy down. They've got their rotates down. But it's all about improving that end game playstyle, being able to secure the win, not only making it, but getting what
Dva
truly
puta
matters to
kažeš.
take home a trophy in a major finals of this caliber.
This is another team, though, that's really been the talk of the town as of late. Wox specifically, just recently having moved directly towards France, so now he's actually going to be in a zero ping location, and zero ping Wox has been delivering to Kata. It has been impressive to see the way that his overall performance has seemed to really just shot through the roof as of late, and that's not to say that he was doing poorly before either. I mean, ping Malabuka with those guys
Malabuca bi isto mogao ovaj Popofa danas.
that seems like it's really firing off
Iskreno
in all the
mogao
right ways in every direction.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna love to see this trio get fraggy in endgame. As, you know, having uncontested night shift and so many trios fighting in the surrounding area, they're gonna kind of look for those third
Pa da, samo zato što sam ja full choke ovu sezonu i kad se uzima PR i kad je sezona za granjem PR-a, ja sam uzeo 0 PR-a. A di su svi oni bili kad nije bilo farmanje PR-a i kad si treba playsat svaki cup da bi bar malo nešto popofo s PR-om? Nigdje nisu bili, brate. Plaća ručak na litu. Ne znam, brate, biće, smrdi mi na X.
Luxury of setting up to cut them off in advance. So with that in mind, iDrop, Sky, Scroll, they're just going to keep probably following this edge of zone as long as they know that there's a team back there continuously having to take more and more of those steady ticks of zone or storm. It's just going to pose even bigger issues for Lucy's team that are going to be all too easy for iDrop to capitalize on.
Yeah, and not only that, they need to reboot their trio, right? They need to get another member back in the game, so finding a way to not only get back into the storm, but have an opening to bring your trio back.
Ima dobrih triosa koji bi mogli popofati danas, iskreno. Veno, Mali Buca, Vanjak isto, Trulex, Chris, Skvi. Ma Boka zabole me, ne priča ko što hoće Demos da Demos sam zaboravio jevat. To, njega. To mi se prs, što?
Gudenberry is done for. Not a single chance of getting out of
Uroša, nemam pojma. Zašto bi stavljao komp da spava? To se dajt nice.
And just like we were mentioning previously, now that Malabuka not only had all the loot from Night Shift on Con, they were able to find 3 eliminations going, whether it be a third
Mali Buca uzo srđ, boli ga briga. Tako da eto, chilla. Savage isto Ancon, pustili mu Ancon da ima.
To Mr. Savage, Mongrel, and Panzer, who already have 1 elimination on the board.
An elevated position though on the mountain span that overlooks Canyon Crossing, and one big thing for Mr. Savage is that coming out of Bird uncontested, they're going
Panzer ima 2 granca, Mongrel 7, Savage 21. Mongrel 1.
Trying to see if he can run him down.
Savage now going to see if he can help out Mongrel. Has to be careful. Do anything you can to rebuild hard builds here to keep Mongrel alive.
Sam želi šut Pirates. Nosim vole stet. Dobio brat Beam. Jebi ga, brate. Proć.
This is perfect for Mr. Savage, Mongrel, and Panzer. With a little bit more time to breathe, now they can recuperate the shield that they have lost.
Sad na kraju Savage njih kija. Promašio ga. Dobar. Ovo je dobar hit bio.
Now realizing the kind of dire measures he's in, doing what he can, dropping as much as possible, knows that he needs to create a little bit of space here, needs a chance to try and regroup with the rest of his team, but Mr. Savage, Panzer, Mongrel, they need to close this one out. The issue is Mongrel just doesn't have whites that he can recuperate with, and now they're drawing a little bit too much attention.
No whites, no knocks, and as you were alluding to, at the bottom right on the mini-map, you can see a whole other trio is getting closer. They heard the noise, they heard the shots.
Vično. Ne, ima dobrih trija sa strana. Dobri su granci, stekani su granci.
Quickly decide what's the play here. We need to find whites. We need to get to a safe location so we can recuperate this shield we've lost. It's not worth it to stay aggressive.
They also just don't have mats. They spent
Uzeli su srđa, sad vamo te da chillaju. Jer sto laži. Jebi ga.
bodies for them to loot. They didn't
To mi
find those
cepras.
eliminations that they needed, those crucial refreshes. So their mid game now looking
Rashford.
a little bit worse.
Njega su malo izvrijeđali da je izvan forme i da izgleda kao
It's just
da nikad u životu ne igra nogom. Dobro je vi, vaša stolica i sponzori.
We've talked about this Rift Island that has Shogun's Arena on it. Not only are you able to get the medallion if you take down the boss, if the zone does end up closing around this arena, you get free moving zones where you don't have to use mats. You get a 360 first class ticket to the whole lobby in terms of looking for search tags. You have so many openings, you get so many advantages. So being able to hold on to that island is very beneficial as we go back on over to Queasy, Swizzy and Merstash, who are still inside of hopeful heights.
Gledao jučer ko sistem 20 plus ljudi na live, danas nema preko 10. To je respekt.
When it comes to an IGL like Queasy, people just expect him to be able to manifest greatness from anywhere, especially after that global championship performance. Arguably one of the only individuals in this lobby that was able to give a contentious run for that first place position.
Taj Sky Scroll, oni, za njih se nije čulo do prošlog chaptera zadnje sezone.
We'll hope to see that continue forwards in the late game as we go to iDrop, Sky, and Scroll. Now this is a trio that has an uncontested kind of split right by a bunch of other trios that are contested. And seeing how quickly they can kind of go from looting their drop spot to instantly looking for a third party, it gives them kind of that advantage of having so many openings for tags that now they're put in a position where they're...
Osijek hejtam u zadnje vrijeme, sve naše igrače su otjerali da igra onaj Dantaš, pade tenis. Pade ih Ris.
Zandy's cracked, Jew is cracked, Shark is the only player that even has a sliver of shield as now they have to take some time to recuperate it.
But Pixovsky, he's recognized the fact there's another team on higher elevation that's still choosing to spray into the box fight that's taking
Manje cenka sabova. Sun. Ljudi sutra prekstra ću najaviti custume. Ja se nadam da neće biti ovaj grifanja. Pa diskvi. Iako gledam danas, ovaj brat jedan koji hosta na TikToku custume, Bauman mu je igrao, koristio cheat. Već vidim da će mi doći onaj Peki, brate, da će mi on koristiti cheat. Ali nema vez, bitno da se napravi koraci i to je to. Ja ću probati iskostati. Kako su oni below? Kako su oni below, majke ti? Još bagova, kojih bagova? Can't stick around for too long. They're going to get lobbied if they don't position elsewhere and finally managing to work their way in, but they are definitely looking pretty tough here, Takada, and with a healthy Mr. Savage on the horizon, who's also likely desperate for a fight. 37 below. E2 below. Rip. I want to make sure to recuperate that shield, get myself into zone, and then look back and take shots at all these trios, all these players that are going to be top timo umira, jebi ga, brat. Top timo ima, brate, 20 top timo. Ali ja mislim da je to bug, nije sam za instant reload, brate, da je to bug općenito u... Ne ideš search, aha, my bad. Jel bolje? Mislim da je to creative bug koji nema veze s određenim moćima. Nego nakon neke određene runde dobiješ dupli loot. To je baš ko ono što je bilo ovaj... Panzer dead. To je baš kao ono što je bilo što si dobio jučer, 2 ribice ili nešto. I 2 AR-a, i te gluposti. Pade i Savage. Ne, našo refresh.
old metal walls from behind him and grab the mats, take full advantage.
Ne može
All the
uzeti.
goodies left behind. And they're gonna need them because with so much focus now being put towards the exit of this tunnelway, they're probably gonna have to burn a decent amount of mats.
Looking over at
Šta ba ispod EU?
Pink. Also further away from zone.
To ne znam, brat, ja nisam to niš dirao, ne. To se ne bi smjelo dešavati, ali to opet nije bug do mene. Više game 1. A šta je tu loše ili? Mogu ja to staviti tamo, ali dobro povećat sad mi ne treba to iskreno.
Pink has essentially got to play it out as if he's just a solo for the remainder of this lobby. He might be able to survive an okay mat refresh, but Podesai lingering just behind. He's going to opt for the blind TP instead. He knows that there's still one other contender to deal with, and Adesito, Water Sprite going to buy him a little bit more shield as well. But Pink, he's in no position to really look for any opportunities to get search. He's going to have to depend on the 271 above that he's holding onto right now. And so many players already boxed in way better positions are bound to pinpoint that this solo is way too separated, way too easy to pick off.
Be careful though, on the other end, Veno Flixie, they've lost Vico. Veno goes down as well. The top trio, everybody had their eyes on them going into this lobby, and Flixie, the focus is on him as he goes down as well in 8th zone before securing basically any placement points. Will this be devastating for the trio, or can they make a comeback later as we look back onto Pink, who secured that solo elimination now with enough loot, enough materials, and I mean enough rotate capability to make it zone.
This is actually huge for Pink. The fact that he's got this mythic Void Oni mask means that he's going to have more charges than the rest of the lobby to play around with as far as his teleports are concerned. He can continuously choose to commit towards a frontside low position. Unlikely that he'll be able to actually make a realistic charge for height, just because teams that play up there are going to be trying to focus out.
Možeš pa mogu staviti na 3K bitrate, ali ne znam hoće onda radit live kak treba, brat. Vidim Venod umro. 7 zvijezdi Dinamo, ja mislim. Da se. Pa mogu, brate, probat, gdje mi objes. Mogu probat ovako, brate, sad, ja se nadam da će Partizan protiv Hajduka. Hajduk Partizan je u klincu teško. Geno se sve prenosi u kakvom su stanju.
A challenge for height with as much material as possible, because knowing that Queasy is in your lobby is going to change.
Queasy dominacija, brat. Queasy je dobio Ankon ovaj svoj grad i to ono može vinat granice bez problema. Ako bude Ankon cijelo vrijeme. A valjda će biti Ankon ovaj. Oskar se rijeka. To su ti dva copy-paste kluba.
Choosing to play more in the dirt here, but they're not the only trio.
This makes sense though. They're just trying to control the front side of low. We've seen them do this numerous amounts of times all throughout the Division Weekly Finals, and one more time they're trying to see if it can be the catalyst for their game plan here. Ping Malibuko walks though. They're looking to meet head on anyone that dares try and challenge them for the low ground. Malibuko getting some excellent sprays, and unfortunately for
Malibuca isto, brate, pressure opasan. Noa mi je umro, brat. Noa Riley mi je umro. Za Partizama, to će biti bušen. Demos nam je živ, ali Demos dobija fokus od Queasya. Mali Buca umro.
And Ping knows he's got to wait to reunite with his teammate before he can opt to use the last of their splashes.
Ajdro pokuša solo klačat. Malo ga fokusaju full, ali gledajte kak njemu radi igricu. Da, što se tiče kvalitete, jednostavno to da Forta i meni je trenutno shit kvaliteta. Tako da ono, ne može bolje. Jednostavno previše dešavanja i ne možeš ti bruka neku kvalitetu. Pade Demos. Evo ga CZB. On ga ugasio isto. Trulex, ajmo Trulex. Pade i Trulex. Čičo, pade Čičo. Pade i Trulex. Rip. CZB chilla dolje, brat. Hidžov ga ugasio. Nathan Popov. Nathan umro. I umro je. Marius Popov na low, a? Crazy win, ovo bez problema. Ma da. 4, 9, 10 kilova. 3 na 3. Koristi za idi, moj brat. Hoće opet ovi biti drugi, brate. Oni su bili u last chance-u 2 po drugi. Pade Vanja. Pade Svizi. Pixi van. Pixi pade. Osto Marius. Marius je van. Ne znam šta on može napraviti. Hoće Marius klačiti. Ma nema šans, nema šans. Da, Kvizi uzima game 1. Bravo Kvizi, bravo. 10 kill win, da. Bravo Kvizi, čestitam. Kvizi zasad debelo prvi. Debelo, 20 bodova. Šta 20? 30? City 4-0, respekt. 30 bodova, koliko je kill? 4. 4 je win 11, ma da. Kvizi prvi. Lanja, Pixi, Marius drugi. Ovaj brat kog sam ubio u rankedu treći. Male buci 4, CZB Nathan 5. Nakon nam je Popov. 40, šta ba 40? Nemoj trole. Shark 7, Ajdrop 8, Trulex nam je 9. Aj umro je 9, tak da ajde okej. Aj okej, Hidžu 10, Demus nam je 11. Marvik. Jeste ovi koji skvalali, brate, s 2 PR-a. Ma da. Pozdrav, Boka, pozdrav. Ti igraš granac. Pa ovaj Marvik, brate, ima 100 earningsa i prije ove sezone je imao isto PR-a koliko imam i ja. I došao je kvalu granice. Tako da eto. Roba Nexus 9 13, Noms, Rezo i Grip 14, Akira 15, on je clean uspono ga poduvao. Pink 16, Lovki 17, Pixovski 18, Hris nam je 19. Tak ifo mi je bio SOC, respekt. Hris nam je 19. Luša 20, Kaj 21, Čap 22, Viko 23, to je neočekivano. To je neočekivano, oni failed game. Savage 24, tako dalje, tako dalje. Sveti nam je 32, sad ćemo vidjeti opet to spawn fight ko će da vina. Moneymaker, ti da placeaš zadnji danas. I ja sretan. On zadnji, ovi predzadnji i GG, iskreno. Ja zadovoljan. Tada eto, Kvizi je uzo game 1. Čestitke Kviziju. Kvizi dobije Ankom, brate, ali ovom bratu ne valja mapa, ono, on je stavio da Kvizi lenda vamo, a Kvizi lenda vamo. Stavio je Skvija gore, Skvija lenda vamo, stavio je... Pa, to je to, otprilike što je fullo. Da, otprilike to je to što je fullo. Ali fullo je. Moj kiksr. Ugasim ovo. Kiksr nam čovku. Koji nas sljedeći? Pa ne znam, brati, ima jako puno dobrih timova. Znači, čekaj, gdje je trigger? Kvizi, pošto ima Ankon svoj grad, što zna igrat, jedan od favorita za vinat. Pixi, isto dobar. CZB Nathan dobri, Mali Buca doktor, Trulex isto ima svoj split Ankon chilla. Chris Tenis Kviz, za njih se zna da oni kad su u pitanju gameovi koji se trebaju vinat, tu su. Vinat će sigurno neki game. Janis Norelli, Čep isto. Veno, favorit po meni glavni za vinanje FNCS. Uz Kvizija. Savage, za njega baš ne vjerujem da može nešto napraviti. I šta, uglavnom sve su dobri timovi, brate. Sve su dobri timovi, tako da ono, Seti, Cherry, Kami, ako klinaju Akira, spawn isto, ono mogu vinat game bez problema. Tako da ono. Slank 50, nije, bude između prvog i drugog gejma 5 minuta, između drugog i trećeg gejma 5 minuta, mislim da između trećeg i četvrtog malo veća stanka. A možda je isto, ne znam. Živimo ga među najgledama. Savage je doktor, Panzer je isto do oca, ali Mongrel malo čovjek. Malo više. Ma za 1 minutu se oni vraćaju i onda još dok krene game. Da je sve, moguće da je sve. Sviđih jevi, ne je leko X-ray ispravio mapu. Teni not landing on Viko, Quiz not landing on Vanja. Wow, I'm so shocked. Bravo. Da, Lovre, ali Savage nije dobar fighter. Ljudi, da bi vi bili dobar player ne znači da morate biti dobar fighter. Kvizi da igra Van Ivanove protiv 50% Balkana bi izgubio. Sve Van Ivanove. Znači, to su ti IGL-ovi, Savage je IGL, pravi IGL. Isto koji Kvizi, pravi IGL. Oni nisu doktorski fighteri, oni su IGL-ovi. Zato igraju sa fighterima. Problem je što Mongrel nije na toj razini fighta. Heda controller or Danish player. Ma neće to biti danas isto. Inače ili Kvizi ili Vena. Ne vidim nikog drugog ko može vinati FNCS. Ili Mali Buc. Eyedrop nema šanse da vina od kontrolera, Ten isto teška priča. Nathan isto teško. Ne znam, vidjet ćemo. Evo za 3 minute sljedeći game. Za 3 minutice. Koliko lajkova imamo na live? Lajkova 15, opa, prešli smo 10 lajkova, idemo. Ajde kontroler, ne, nego rekao si danski ili kontroler. A od danskih playera vidim samo ne znam je li on iz Danske uopće. Ima dansku zastavu. Ne piše mu ništa. Jedan Sky Scroll su iz Danske. Točnije Sky, ne znam za scrolle. Da, obojice su iz Danske. I ovi Livše ima isto dansku zastavu. Tako da ono. Iako zastava ništa ne znači. Ali da. Ljudi, tu sam za sekundicu. Da, tu sam za sekundicu.
I'm excited to see what these guys can do. They're one of the better fighting trios in this lobby.
That surge was insane. It was something like over 1,500. I don't feel like I've ever actually seen surge that high in a competitive lobby. I'm sure you boys have, but for me, it was definitely a bit of a revelation.
They were 1,500 above, and the threshold was probably like 1,500. So they had like 3k damage at that point in the game, right? They had something silly at that point in the game. But yeah, very, very high thresholds right now.
If you cast your eyes down to the 8th position, I Drop Sky and Scroll, they were definitely making a bid for the high ground at 1.11, and then they called off the search in a way. They decided to slide out things quickly, but they made their names known.
Yeah, again, this is a team that I think many people, you know, are going to expect to be consistent in these games. They've been that way throughout this season. So, you know, without overreacting too much to game one, it's good to see them make an end game. It's going to be about making, you know, more use of those end games and again finding those win conditions when needed. But yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing so far from them in terms of being able to get there. It's just delivering in the end.
Yeah, I think the problem here for them was they were playing low ground. They were sort of in the center of the zone low ground. They were sort of in wood there as well. I think there was a moment where like, every single person was looking at that trio. So ultimately their low ground positioning being the middle of the entire lobby, everyone looking to try and spray people off their layer. They just became the target, had to spend so many materials, and that's why we saw them go down there. But as you mentioned, I'm expecting to see them in more of these end games. It's nice that they got there.
Yeah, man, I'm back
on this big stage, but the job's not done yet. They still have so long.
Pa dobro vidi, imaju svi šanse da vinaju, tek je prvi game gotovo. I drugi dan su veći bodovi, jel tako? Mislim da je. Scoring 11 za win 4 po kilo, a drugi dan. Čak su isti bodovi, gle. Ili nisu updateali.
This is what the finals are about, though, Taco. Seeing all these elite trios competing against each other from the off-spawn fights, the mid-game engagements, to end-game. It was just non-stop action from start to finish, and it's not even close to being done. That's just game 1 of 6 today. We have another 6 matches tomorrow, so a lot to come. And I can be more hyped, Taco. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, I think with everybody kind of getting a good idea though of what this drop map is actually going to be looking like, because teams are going to start to want to settle in from lobby number 2 and onwards, and so we'll get a chance to see exactly how things hold up here in game 2.
Ne znam šta Fort kažeš.
Kicking off the last match, it was that off-spawn engagement at Lost Lake from
Kevin. Ko vina, Seti ili Akira.
We see that once again. Look, I think we will, Taco. I think it's going to be all, not even 6, possibly 12 games of this action. But hey, maybe I'm speaking too soon. Maybe they'll switch something up. Like Levin mentioned, Queasy and his trio, Swizzy Merstash, did go back to Seaport as we originally expected.
Nove kapove.
This
Šta kaže?
engagement is just kicking off.
You know, one consistency, this is probably the only consistency that we will see all weekend. I refuse to believe that either of these teams in Camis or Protosize is going to shift their direction. They are going to land all 12 lobbies at this POI. And
opet će ih klina, ma da. Opet su rip.
looking really as far as HP is concerned. Showery right next to him.
Gotta be careful. Those chug splashes are so beneficial in the early game. It just gives that required shield to your whole trio to play that much more aggressive.
Zorana sad navukla na ovu pjesmu.
Shots to try and pick off one of the players. Cami, Seti, Cherry, they need to make something happen, whether it's box off a solo or do what they can. But with one player already going down,
Pade Cami.
Cami and Seti. Cami gets
Seti outplayu. Evo mi tu si. Nego to.
leaving it all up to
2-0.
X-Sweeze and Akira once again
2-0.
the fight at Lost Lake.
Had to hold your breath for a second there, though, with Bodasai. Thought that he was going to be a little bit too greedy with that charge through the doorway inside the building there at Lost Lake, but probably happy with that exchange. Skyjump, Momsy, they find themselves in a similar position to their Polish counterparts here at Seaport City, up against the likes of Queasy, Merstash, Swizzy, who have already found one elimination onto Shaco.
Ja paš na TikTok, da gledat ćemo NA Central.
They can get an eagle-eye view, scout out where these last two players are at, because they would love to get those elims.
Yeah, kind of that aura boost as well from taking home the first
Gledat
game.
ćemo
We'll see how that engagement closes out as we look back at iDrop, Sky, and Scroll. Now, there's a trio that, you know, based on previous matches, there's been situations where they're able to loot incredibly quickly and instantly start looking for third parties at Seaport, or in this case, at any congested
Mene kreatori došli do, pa eto, lijepo.
those tags. So,
Došao.
see if they're going to look to do something similar here again.
Ne, ako si kreci Warrior i ako kreneš, možeš se prebaciti na in-game. Merstaš ih klino. 2-0 za Quizija. 2-0 za Quizija. Znači novi komp. Evo, još 2 tjedna i kreće mi drugi semestar na faksu i tad ćemo rješavati, tad ću naručiti PC. Točnije prvo će mi ga Samper i dalje složiti pa ću naručiti pa ono. Pa ću da vidim. Real i dalje 1-1,
they kind of have to recover from. Now, if any trio is going to recover from these situations, it's going to be Vico, Veno, Flixi. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do it in game 1. But, you know, hopefully,
ajde, uživaj mi.
the 12 games, they will
Ćao,
get
ćao.
out of situations, because I know once they have a good game, it's going to be a good game, Taco. Like, maybe even 20 eliminations, something crazy.
Zendija su krekali. Kija ga? Nokali su Zendija. Jel Zendi majke ti ovo čovko?
As far as getting pushed early on, but it's actually going to be Z Andy who's in the hot seat and having been eliminated.
Koji prosim, ne znam, kažem, Samper gadje će mi složiti nešto.
For Shark NG to look for that reboot opportunity, might even get a chance to look back and see what actually went down here outside of Warriors Watch, and Z Andy just
Eto šta vam ti priča. Da, Zendi čovko si život, brat. Dao im free kill.
Got a DM, looked at his phone 1 second, next thing you know, he's looking at the screen on the ground, knocked on his knees. What a shot from Panzer. I think in last game too, they had a bit of trouble in terms of damage, caused them to get stuck outside the storm, so hopefully this time around, they can kind of adapt to their lobby as Darm picks Dimus, looking quite healthy.
They're not the only ones, but at the same time, some of these teams, what they're having to trade off in exchange for uninterrupted loot paths, it's these fringe spots of the map. Grippe, Nums, and Rizoi supposedly having some early
Prvi game. A vidi, Peter je tu.
But the way that they have shifted their positioning to be so far north, sure they're...
Tu ima cheater čovjeka, nema cheat, brat. Da ima cheat dobio bi ban. Pogotovo sad kad se još stroži što se tiče banova. Svi koji su bili imalo sumnjivi su banani iz Granca.
Exactly, they didn't have the full opportunity to take that engagement at Seaport because Merstash cleaned it up too quickly, so now they're going to Masked Meadows to see what they can find as Noah Riley and Chap are going to be down below, but it's going to cause iDrop, Sky, and Scroll to say, you know what, instead of just kind of camping over there, let's at least make use of our time, get some materials, refarm, and just...
Vidit ćemo quiz, Chris fighta.
On the other hand, Teeny and Haris are in an engagement.
Skvi, though, gonna get chopped, dropped, take a little bit of fall damage to boot. In these wood mats, you have to imagine that he doesn't have the material count he's hoping for a stretched out box fight. Teeny and Haristo from above are going to be able to provide some nice coverage for us, so Skvi will be able to scale his way back up the mountain phase, reunite with the rest of his trio. Still a pretty precarious position to be in. All things considered, Skvi can't really afford to get
Panzer je ljudi bio zero build player. I jedino što je praco je aim. I sad kad se prebacio na build ima bruka aim. Malo mu se TP-a, a?
More awkward than what they were hoping for. They're chasing them so deep into this valley now and inside the tunnel.
Vanje. Ajde, Teni, bravo, Teni.
Gonna make use of it though as he got that quick knock onto Kire, Nako and Harko forced to go away as a duo. Shout out to the Spanish trio.
Znači, Panzer jedino što je igrao je bio zero build. I sad kad je prešao na build ima bruka aim.
I mean, it's not one of the best ones, even one of the, I mean, mid ones.
Oj, Teni ga ganja. Teni može se jebat, brat.
From that drop is impressive, but now with Teeny, Haris, and Skavi not letting them do so once again with already that first elimination, it's gonna make it quite tough.
Aha, to. Da, ali navodno kako se već kaže nije ga on reporto. Nego je dobio ban status zbog svojih protokola što je igrica napravila.
Spanish trio to actually recuperate from. Vanya Pixie Marius though, once again facing off, this time against Lucy, Loki, and Monet.
Gotta be careful here. Well, the good news is no trios in the surrounding area as Marius has continued to replace as much real estate as possible here for openings. Trying to stay grouped up, waiting for anything to happen. Patience is key in these box fights, but once you find that opportunity,
ne znam šta se točno desilo.
you have to capitalize on it to make that play.
Ovi nisu dobili ban, ova dvojica. Ova jedan mislim da je dobio ban. Dva tima su banani. Livša je isto kval zbog jednog tima. Livša je prošao zato je neki Jane onaj dobio ban. Mislim ban dobio inactive account.
To get the better end of Loki's HP bar. Loki, no shield, just scurrying around the low ground. Meanwhile, Marius boxed up, waiting for an angle. It's got some good overhyped view, but at the same time, wants to be careful, doesn't want to immediately jump into a box unnecessarily and find himself getting double teamed essentially.
Marius, chill.
Yeah, the last thing you want to happen as they continue to not only look for angles in the box fight, but as we saw what Veno was doing in the first game in his
rate je full switch na keyboard
mouse. Make sure there's no other trios sneaking up onto you. Make sure you kind of know what's going around as you're playing this out, and this doesn't just apply to the mid game, it applies to every part of the match. You have to stay aware. It's key.
Ne, na mjesec dana dobiješ ban teammate od cheatera. Teammate od cheatera dobije ban na mjesec dana, a cheater dobije permu.
That fare a little bit better for their surge plan overall, but Gripe also refusing to budge deep inside his box, kind of just settled away, knows he doesn't have this exchange just yet. Veno with this reposition though, going to have the opportunity to hold them outside the edge zone.
Yeah, it's a good job.
I nakon toga teammate još dobije disqual sa to kapa, tako da ono, i ako si neš napravo, neš niš dobije.
I mean, it's not an issue for Veno, Vico, Flixi, it's more openings for them, but I think they're thinking to themselves, you know, this fight's gonna take a bit too long. I did see Vico kind of sneaking up to maybe find an angle, but we'll look back at Akira Odasai here, who have lost X-Suiz, as now they're kind of playing it out as a duo in the edge of Night Shift. Malabuka has found something.
And the problem here is that Malabuka is
Šemero quit. A jebi ga.
This might have been the
nešto me zaboli za njih. Mali bucam u kempa iza drveta.
But Malabuka definitely knows something's up. He's trying to be careful, but every top tier player would recognize when a team is just trying to full on bail, and Podesai running off in the distance there. Malabuka still willing to give chase though, because this would be their surge strategy, similar to what they did to Clownski in the last match. We're just picking them off for trying to go for those reboot plays early.
His stomach is rambling, he's hungry. He wants a couple more eliminations as he spotted off the duo. They know they have the advantage in the situation as the Wolver plates comes through. One more, Malabuka looking to get this.
Kupaš me, ne, za 1800. Mali bucaju opo, brat. Ošurili. Bro, to je Akira najbolji, ne kužim. Mislim njegov trio. Nemam toliko para da uzim toliko neš jako. Što ti?
Uzo mi. Ne, javi. Vedi gol. Koji gol? Koji je ovaj gol? O, što bi gol?
Because Ping, the sole survivor, maybe he'll be able to get this revive off now that he's able to teleport away with Wax's knocked body, but at the same time, Takata, their strategy to essentially find those eliminations inside the storm and push in a little bit later off the dead side because they have solid surge, completely turned against them. Now they have to try and play, can we recover Malabuka or not?
What a turnaround from Podesai and Akira. I mean, they did exactly what they had to keep themselves up. And now, looking at Walks, looking at Malabuka, looking at that whole trio, they've got to find a way not only to reboot their team, but also get them with enough loot, refarm the materials they can't already hold, and not only that, get themselves into zones. So, depending on kind of where they're positioned already, it's going to be a journey for them to get to end game.
Evo Dinamo dogo. Jebem. Znači.
Fishing simulator here.
Dobro očekivan. Real 1-1.
And this is also another one of those teams that I think has definitely popped up on the public's radar as far as capability to perform. Uncontested at Twinkle Terrace.
Ne se vidi ovaj Kanga zabio. Taj panj dao gol.
But at the same time, you never want to find yourself getting caught and held. And that's what Cade, Mappy, and Cringe are trying to avoid. Cade especially not having a Void Oni mask. It's just going to have to depend on this fishing hold. Clearly invested a lot of time as is, so they'll at least not have to worry about rotating with the rest of the pack. They can definitely spend a little bit more time kind of trailing behind.
Ovi uzimaju bota ovog lagana na islandu. Kaže naš tim neki? Ne znam, brat. Svaki put kad sam joinio neki tim dobio sam hate. Od ljudi koji ne vole ownere tog tima. I tako to ide. Kad sam lijevo CN i joinio BT, svi su me ovi hejtali iz CN-a koji su bili u CN-u. A dok sam bio u CN-u, hejtali su me ljudi zato jer sam bio u CN-u. Kužiš? Najbolje je neki tim stranski iz...
Almost guaranteed that they will have to rotate away. When are they going to make that rotation is kind of the key factor.
But what's nice is having that position from Shogun's Arena. They're going to be able to at least spray at other teams and essentially push other teams from wanting to rotate directly under them for where their most optimal rotate path into zone would be. So they'll also have a good chance, I think, at being able to spot out which mountain range they want to take over.
Da, ima tih timova, ali jesam ja na razini Sineda.
This for good reason. Chap going to be revived. Thanks to his teammates winning this fight out, but it's not the last fight they'll have to find themselves in, because with those surge ticks starting to come into play, it could be a serious issue, and Noah Riley doesn't have any material.
That's a great point, because like you said, another fight is going to have to take place. I mean, not only do they have to refarm materials from scratch, but they just don't have enough to make it into this end game.
I meni su ljudi nudili neke timove, brat, na primjer tam gdje Andiz ušao, ali džabe kada nisam toliko dobar da uđem u taj tim.
Speaking of trios that kind of had a little comeback, Walks, Ping, and Malabuka now back in business together as a trio.
No se novijem, pa eto, igrač s Gajdekom i Genusom.
They will have to make their way back in, but hopefully they've been doing enough damage
Nema koga, brat.
179 above. Not too, I mean, it's not too bad, but it's not enough either. So the job is definitely not finished.
If you want a real stab at trying to control the high ground with the likes of Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache in the lobby, though, Takada,
Oni pespijano zove, pa znam, da.
near enough.
Imao autima,
They're going to
nemam
have to
pojma.
take a fight
Ovo nijednom, ja
for the
mislim.
team that's hopefully, in their minds, more tatters than what they are coming into the zone late. No,
Auto je dobar, ali sumnjivo mi je da je dobio 100 puta ban za cheat.
trying to see if they can escape, but Giannis hot on their heels, looking to break down their walls, just pickaxing his way through.
Piše Outmu da ju detektu, ali nema niko uopće u detektu kada ono.
You gotta get yourself the zone as well. They're not even in here, so it is gonna start taking as the shots come back onto Giannis.
Pa da će ići.
Looking to play more aggressive. Noah's going in. You gotta
Evo je sad problem.
teammate as now they're all pushing together. It's Nako on the other end of the door. Splash is gonna come through to recuperate what they lost. Trulex close.
Ovo je sad problem.
Of multiple trios not in the zone as now shots continue to come through.
Tyson, ode i Trulex, ode i Tyson sad.
Everything's on to Tyson as they're jumping
Da.
right into his box and he
Ode i
is
Janis.
shortly after.
But who's really benefiting here? Because Giannis trying to get that double revive right now from Chap and Noah Ailey, but Yarko immediately assaulting them from above, not trying to allow them a chance to regenerate any of the HP. They know that there's bodies inside of those boxes.
Pade nam
They want
Trulex.
to fall back to
Jebi
a similar
ga.
position. They think that they'll have better odds if they just look back and spray with everyone else in the lobby.
The thing is, you don't want to spend too much time spraying here. If I'm Nako's trio, I want to, look to see if I have an opening, but after, they got to get the zone themselves. There's another trio that's going to be holding Nako, Kharko, and Kire when they try getting the zone, so the more time they spend here, the more difficult that rotate is going to be. They can even opt to maybe recycling the builds of Chap's trio if they do end up getting behind them, but what they have to do here is focus
Nako je bilo. To je 11.
Proving to be one of Nako's biggest enemies right now. Does give a little bit of a safety net there, but Noah Riley.
Gle Savage'a gore na Surge Base-u.
Right at the bottom of this Surge Base.
Ne znam se streama, ne. Biće stream dok se ne završi granci. Onda bi trebao nešto učit, pišem, imam ispit u ponedjeljak i utorak. I palimo na TikToku naveć. Za Ini Central. Kad je noć? Nac je u 11. Palimo u 11, onda live za nac. Oga je Bimo Savage, a?
We'll see what ends up
To.
happening. Nice shots are being connected from Mr. Savage. Now 423 above as the next zone is going to appear here in just a second. And they'll be able to make a decision on if they want to stay at that elevated mountain or if they have to make a rotate. But I drop Sky and Scroll.
O, željeću, pos.
Incredibly far from the zone. Definitely have to make a rotate here.
Sky Scroll eye drop, they're really just trying to gauge
Trebate nasrđa, a?
hills they want to try and avoid or take over even if given the opportunity.
Squid, oni su živi.
Pushing a little bit northward. They do have to deal with Batman and Volko
Slušaj
behind them,
komentar drva.
spraying out their walls with
Neka oni.
Blade though. Sky is just gonna look to
Ega,
try and make
Trulex
this
ga
fast
čovka,
rotate.
brate. Mislim da će Trulex popofat, ali teško.
This could be an opportunity here for Sky Scroll and iDrop to get a little bit fraggy. Maybe if they decide to chop out the floor of that team in the base above them, find some quick eliminations.
Kvizi chilla. Mali buca nema heala, ništa. Ali imaju loot tu. To. Shieldfish. Da. Vanjak dobije crack. To je Trule igra, ne, Trulex, ne Trule.
It is going to be Veno down below them, looking for a triple spray, looking for anything that they can possibly get.
But Vanya can't afford to hold these peaks for too long.
20 below.
They're going to have to make this next rotation.
Marius je 20 below.
To where everybody else is at. Vanya, not going to have the opportunity.
Znaš, pa ide Kvizi i tu vidiš, svi su živi. Uvijek ima. Većinom će vinati onakvi TKH, jel? Tako će TKH i Kvizi naravno favorit. Batman pao. Pade Batman. Edukaciju pon. Ne znam, od poslije ispita dok moja mama ne ide kući, pa znam do 12, ja mislim. A matematiku nisam ni pogledao, tak da 6. mjesec lagan. Pade fast rock. I uzeo je kill. Chilla. Predag je gore na haju. Kvizi chilla full left. I Veno je živ. To je ono. Chillaju. U 12.30. Ja sam do 12 faza nosio. To. Shing, pada Janis.
And scroll, they don't even need to continue that forwards as the zone is already moving. If you look up in the clouds though,
Predav na haju, chilla.
Brady on racks, they're holding on to height so far. Can they maintain it?
It's whether or not their builds are able to hold out, but when the rest of the lobby is so scuffed with how much elevation they have to actually cover, this could be the saving grace for the high play. Although nothing's ever safe when it comes to the high ground, as long as Queasy, players like Malabuka's team, still lurking around.
Pece, to. Moj brat.
Chaos taking place in the layers above him, but inside of this.
Brat Peco je njemu. Veno drži second high. Prijedit. Al deepo je.
Playing, I want to say almost a little bit safer. Maybe they got a little scared from what happened in the previous game.
Da, kad se high. United je gotov. Eto. Rip United. Pade. To. Veno mina game. Da. Gdje je Quiz? Evo ga dolje. Veno, mislim mina game. Liksi 4 kila. Evo 5 kila. Evo ga Mrstač Quizy. On je sad u Njemačkoj na zero. Na zero. Skvih pressure. I Marius je živi dalje. Savage umra. Rip Savage. Dobar. Aha, pulalo im da. Prošli high. Ode im on grav. Svizi opo. Svizi down. Marius je van. Sad ga. To. Lomi. Uzi mes. Bravo. Male buce prijedito. Poza Martine. Evo guras. 195 dobio pravo. Prosuo ga. Došao nije 100 koji dobio. Nije bio full. Sad im samo umra teammate. Šta su napravili? Ništa. Pade Darm. United već prvi je United je rip. Pade i Vox. Merstaš kreko malog buc. I uljeće Pixi. Kvizi van. Kvizi opo. Top 9. Top 9 je slab. Razguje, nije Jan je bilo, mislim. Ili je izgubio.
for as long as possible. Every placement counts. They didn't have the materials in the first place. That's why he's even low ground to begin with. But he's not the only one suffering.
Jedan je bilo.
Scroll, Sky, eye drop, just cutting their way through the madness.
Pade Chris. Merstaš i dalje klač. Top 7. Šta klače. Nixon chilla, ali Veno ja mislim na haju i dalje po pofin. Demus Popofa. Demus šta si Popofa si. Ma daj Veno laganica. Veno laganica. Ma da, free. Ma to. I Veno uzima game 2. Dobar. Kviz i dalje prvi za dobrih 60 bodova bježe. 60 bodova. Sada bude iz kakvih 80 spopalo. 123, 122, 121. Čepara, pa ako vina dobit će, ne piše, oko 100k ja mislim, 70k sa porezom. Šta Reason nije kvalo, ne. Ping Vox, Mali Buca, drugi, Vanjak, Pixi Marius, treći, Viko, Venom, Flixi, četvrti. Ovaj Rus kog sam šitao u rankedu peti, Demus nam se popeo na 6. mjesto. 80k ići. 60k znači. Pa dobro. Rekao sam 70k, nisam bio daleko. Demus nam se popeo na 6. mjesto, Sky Scroll, Idrop 7. Blaha Mixon Comeback 8. Nako je 9. Artis 10, CZB Nathan, Eclipse 11, Chris nam je 12. Predak nam se popeo na 13. mjesto. Dobar. Akira 14, Shark, Ju iz Andy 15, Čep, Janis Norajli 16. Cringe 17, Trulex nam je 18, Failo je ovaj game. Čovko je život. Mislim čovjek, jebi ga, nima sreće. Mongral nam je 22. Seti nam je zadnji. Jebi ga. 180k. A 60k ići. Teško premiranje pa iću. 60k ići slabo brate. Slabo još sa porezima doći 40k. Nego. Vi budite zadnji, vi budite predzadnji ili obrnuto i ja zadovoljan. Uglavnom kviz za se holda to prvo mjesto. Trebaš pomoći ajma, ne treba, ja ću naučiti one zadatke na pamet i nadat se da će to biti to. Ne vidim drugi način. Tako da eto, šta da pojačamo ove.
Person that looks like they can match him right now might be Mustache. So yeah, these two teams right now are so thrilling to watch.
Well, I am desperate to talk about Mustache as well, but unfortunately we have to slalom, to quote Mini Miner, into the break. We'll see you in a few.
Shit on my... Svi zlatni pred smrti jedin. A dobro, vred. Za nik nešto ne znam kurs. Tri vam dobili, pa kad ne igraju igricu, nisu oni tu da igraju, oni su tu da komentiraju. Oni će dobiti više para nego ovi za vinane granice. Što ti ne komentiraš? Pa da znam engleski možda bi si mogao prijaviti. Evo kog zanima reaction.
Okay, yeah, coming.
Kog zanima. Čekaj, ima drop mapa. Nema, ovo je game plan. Jebem ti, nema drop mape. Što da mu ne stilam drop mapu? Da si, nemoj tako dobar je Viko. Bio chill. Hajpa si čovjek.
Okay, yeah, coming.
Dededet! Slušaj li? Ali ova krpa, brate, neš najjače što ima. Ko ja stonjak, ne, to me podloga preko cijelog stola. U igri sam, pa znam, a šta će ti krp? Znači, što ima ventilator. To je samper preko ljeta, brat. Nabije ventilator i ruka. Warm up. Best warm up. Ništa, kreće drugi game. Za 3 minute. Sunce prvo dođe ruke direktno. Točno od 1 do 10. Dobro. To je dobro. Aha, to je drop mapa zapravo. To je zapravo drop mapa, ali postoji neki sajt. Točno ne znam to sajt. Ja mislim da on ima drop mapu za svaki bus. Viš da mu označim bus da ide vamo. Da iskače tu. Ja sam mislio da to game plan, ne, to je zapravo bus da mu kreće tu i... Respekt. Niš ljudi, kog zanima, tu je marker. Kog zanima, tu vam je marker, vidit ćemo do sljedeće gameove. Skrine to. Neće. Taj marker, sad taj marker će ti helpat. Ima još minuta do gamea. Coincidence. A gdje se to ima za gledat uopće? Platiš i gledaš. Jebite se. Gledat ću na TikToku sa ljudi. Neco, pa granicu.
So determined to do that. Yet again, this game mini miner fragging out of his mind.
Yeah, just doing what Mustache does, what we know he can do, picking up eliminations, doing what he does best, and this is exactly what we kind of expect to see out of a Major 1 Mustache at this point level. I think this is just kind of becoming a trend that's almost impossible to ignore. He seems to just perform best at the beginning of the year. He likes to get the job done early. He can sort of take his foot off the gas potentially for the rest of the year, but right now, I mean, thinking just on this game in particular, absolutely incredible stuff, and it's exactly what this team need, considering they're contested. They need to make the most out of all of their games that they're getting into.
And you have to remember, he was actually in his element in terms of where he's most comfortable. Of course, Queasy's turned these guys into like
delay.
No, what the fuck. Remember, Mustache is the original. I don't want to be on his mid-ground layer because he's going to give me problems. So it was nice to see him back in that zone.
The only time that Mustache and Mid will ever be in a sentence together. Thank you so much, boys. We're going to head straight to the cast, though, because game number 3 is ready.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Frankie. We're not even halfway done yet, Taco. We still have these storylines building. It looks like it's kind of a battle for height between Queasy, Swizzy Mustache, and Vico Venoflixie. Who's gonna get more of those high ground victory royales? I don't know. Time will tell, but we're definitely in
Time will tell. Telat će meni.
I want to see some other big names kind of step up to the plate here. It can't just be Queasy and Veno hitting home runs as far as today is concerned. So game number 3, let's see what you got.
Game number 3. Ajmo vid, ajmo Seti, molim te. Zaliči ovo tako. Hoće li biti 3-0 ili 2-1? Sad ćemo vidjeti. I hoće li biti vamo 3-0?
The problem though is that Queasy got the building he wanted, but the elemental chest inside.
Neće mi Setija prenos.
Hoće.
3-0 ili 2-1. Pikeks, pa to ima.
Finally trying to put Poland on the map here as far as Lost Lake is concerned, because this is
opet naš splash.
As far as the day is concerned.
I want to see something happen here. It's all up to kind of getting that good loot off the rip, hitting those shots you need to connect, and I don't know how this is going to affect Cherry, Cammy, Seti going into these matches, having already lost 2, but so far it's not instant aggression from either trio, it's more pop shots back and
forth.
It seems that X3's Akira and Podosai are even kind of disengaging a little bit from main.
Braćo dipaju. Pade X3. Market.
Had some questions raised here, but now Akira trying to see if he
can Akira je ošurio Kamija.
A little bit longer here for Podosai. The issue is that he just doesn't have so much ammo to work with. He needs to get closer if he wants to make use of that SMG that he's currently holding on to. And Akira from the rooftop knows it's only a matter of time before Chari and the gang close in enough to find that full elimination onto X-Weez.
Space has been closed. Was wanting to pick him up, but they're not gonna have time anymore. They heard Seti, they heard Cammy. They're close by now. It's gonna be a 3 versus 2 to close this one out, as the elevated position is gonna
Akira blej na krov, ošurit će nekog. Podosai.
Into a 2 versus 2, Cammy and Seti forced to make something happen. Akira now in the fight, as Seti's been fully
ode Seti. Ode.
Cammy, and once again 3-0 for
3-0.
Akira and X-Weez.
If you asked anybody what they would have figured would happen here at Lost Lake, the last thing they would have told you, Takada, is that it would be
Kako ti navijaš? Za Setija, za Poljake, ali ništa. Francuzi uzimaju win 3-0.
Issue now begins to stem, Takada, because day 2 we don't have that 1.5 times point multiplier. So for Cammy, Seti, and Shari, a team
Udobili su vi ki, a? Udobili su ki, brat.
They have seriously got to turn things around.
Hiđo ih iskio.
This major one finals to go anywhere near their favor.
Heartbreaking start.
Ovo je sam prvih neš ne jel.
Taking so long to finish up these engagements though. It's just that opening for the third party. Hijo, Trexler, Robin to come on through. They're invited to the party now as Podesai is gonna go down.
Pade Podesai.
And Robin, Hijo, and Trexler are gonna come out on top in that third party, getting the leftover loot now.
A šta s Quizijem?
Gonna have to play this one.
Je on clean one svoje? Ili su splitali? Oj, Zende, brate, umire od Seveđa, sad umire od Nakoa.
Nako, on the other hand, doesn't want to give Andy the chance. Jew trying to see if he can close in, try and provide a little bit of a revive opportunity there for his teammate, but that's going to leave Shark all alone on the high ground. Granted, Kire doesn't exactly have the HP that you would want to take this exchange. It's not going to matter though. Shark put down just like his fellow comrades, and Nako, knowing it's only Jew left.
Jew je 1v3. Što je bio je. Merstač isto fight. Evo ih. Shing umro, Shing. Van su svi. Padi Quizi.
Two quick pump shots is all it's gonna take.
The problem though is Queasy's already been eliminated. Swizzy knows that Merstash, he's been extended a little bit of a lifeline here, and he's gonna opt for the TP.
TP direkt na mapi.
Doesn't manage to actually take Merstash with them though, because the third party from Kate, Cringe, and Mappy, they're gonna be the only ones profiting off of this box fight.
That's the issue with these lobbies. All these trios have studied their surroundings. When they see in the feed a fight's going on and it's close to them, they're going to take a peek at it. They're going to look for any potential benefit they can get. And for Mappy, Cade, and Cringe, it's going to be a combination on the leading trio currently on the leaderboard.
If I'm Veno, I've got a really big smile on my face.
Pa nema skinovi delay, vete, kakav delay ima skin.
On that elimination feed, but can't lose focus just yet. Can never ease off the pressure in these kinds of final set lobby circumstances. Venya, Medias, Pixie, they also know exactly what's on the line, and they've consistently been encountering Lushi's trio coming out of that southern section of Shattered Span, still hanging around here in Hopeful Heights.
Evo ga, Quizi, bit će bolje.
Leads me to believe that that's a fight that they are still currently stuck in the midst of, but
Pixie one.
He's gonna need some backup.
1 HP is what was left for Pixie, as he's quickly gonna have to recuperate that with some chug splashes. Vanya gonna get by him, kind of help him out here, hold his walls while he heals back up. But you gotta be careful, more trios already inside of the zone are just taking shots back.
Stolica ti ima delay.
Kind of not letting them
Ako nemaš gaming stolicu, neš biti dobar.
or zone. As Vico, Veno, Flixi now feeling a bit more confident once again, continuing with this aggression that we're more used to.
There's one thing that's for sure is that Veno likes to get aggressive in the early game because they can always fall back to their origin point. Get plenty of loot here, but
Veno fight the Batman.
Opening, wants to see if he can get a good chunk out of Batman, and Batman just continuing to try and hold on to this ramp as long as possible. Gonna scurry on over, regroup with the rest of his team as much as possible. This team though, Vico's, so much trust within each other and their fragging capabilities. Vico even opting to try and set up the pre-edit early on, just hoping for any sort of close commitment, because Vico, Veno, and Flixi know the time is of the essence here, and they don't want to
može skin uzimati FPS?
fighting another team.
The good news is they're very aware there's not too many trios close by, so they can take just a bit longer to finish this one off, but from shots getting connected onto Flixi, onto Vico, now forcing them.
Sampero, ni jedno mjesto više nisam upao na solo cash cup, znaš?
As Benno makes use of his time to reform a bit, and now they've kind of sensed that danger of Pink getting close, and it's going to cause them to disengage.
Smart. Benno is always keeping tabs from that elevated position whenever these box fights are taking place to make sure that they don't actually get encroached upon like some of the other teams we've already seen fall apart in this early game for it. Klonsky, Gudenbry, and Moneymaker, though, they're also close by to this bird to go coming out of that western portion of the map from Whiffy Wharf, but whether or not they actually want to get directly involved is a different story here, Takada, because match number 1, we saw how heavily that worked against them, and I think that kind of just put the message in the back of their mind. They're going to play this one a little bit slower, play and make sure that they have a guaranteed advantage.
Yeah, mentality
Neki efekt, ali brate ne može za 15 FPS.
Like this, and how kind of the game changes based on what happened in previous matches. Not only if something went wrong, but just you're kind of aware maybe of a new rotate from the trio that wasn't previously there, anything that kind of caught them off.
Tako je, pa koriste ga zato jer se slabije vidi, a ne zato jer ima FPS.
Mike Levin was saying, shout out to this trio. I mean, competing in their first ever FNCS major finals. 113 points on the board. I mean, I believe they're in 6th place so far.
Hey, glider ist.
History, they gotta get at least top 8 to break that previous record. So I think they definitely can make something happen.
Within their sights, but can't get too amped off of halfway through day 1 just yet. Want to remain as composed as possible.
Emote, to ist.
Completely caught off guard, cringe. What a valuable time.
Još vrep uzimao ozbiljno, da.
Just ensures that his teammate's going to be able to actually get to a safety position, and now it's going to be Comeback forced to expend some of his shield. That looked like a real opportunity here for Mixon and Comeback, but instead now they're going to be forced away for the next opportunity to arise.
Kjera se, koliko mi backbling uzima?
Cringe Mappy-Cade, they're already bailing.
Yeah, and that's the only other trio in sight currently. So, I mean, the more time they take, I guess more trios will potentially start rotating through, but sometimes
vrep uzima, backbling ne uzima.
Seems to be happening once again. X-Squeeze Akira Podosai, as I believe I saw Malabuka close by. Can we see a potential repeat?
I see that bite back from match number 2 is the exact reason why we see Malabuka's team actually opting to go in pairs this time around. They don't want to look for that solo engagement. They don't want to find themselves having to play for the reboot. And now, Podosai held just a little bit outside that edge of zone. Malabuka in the trees even. Just making full use of everything the map
Brate,
has
kako je Akira 3-3 klina, jebate. Ovaj Podosaj najbolji, šta?
They want to get their surge as early as possible so they can then focus one more time on those rotations.
I mean, it kind of shows that even the previous match didn't affect them too much. They're not going to stop playing aggressive now after that 3v2 kind of turned into a loss. So they'll continue playing aggressive. They'll continue looking for opportunities outside of their surroundings at night shift. As we look at Scroll kind of choosing to play the bush here while his teammates are on the surge base, just for more openings, more angles.
And one issue that
Ja sad default kak ti FNC najbolje staviti naš. Gledam. Evo.
Just hovering over iDrop's head. You're looking at someone with so much tenure, but their best finals placement having actually been a 7th place finish. Meanwhile, on the other hand,
Oh wait, attention for the players. Him to speak is directly affect your FPS and latency real time while gaming. You're lucky with the potential.
And it's been at a relatively rapid pace. So now the question that iDrop is essentially having to answer to everybody at home watching is, can he actually overcome that placement history? Can he continue to rise with these 2 Danish stars in Sky and Scroll?
Well, this is a good event to make it happen. In 7th place currently, they're en route to
Ma da, oni klinaju lovi, bret.
Quick elimination on the board, not too troublesome at all for this trio. Now they, I mean, they got leftover materials. They got everything they need here.
They got cap mats.
Nice bush. Full piece.
Didn't even know what hit him. I mean, which direction are you even supposed to look at that point?
Opa, Savage na islandu.
Just pumping your walls at the same time. Only so much left to be done from that position. And talking about positions, this could be a very good one for Mongrel. Mr. Savage and Panzer are currently in control of the Shogun's arena. And with the way that these zone pools have been dictated so far, teams have had the opportunity to essentially stick around a little bit longer for at least one zone more and look for those tags, look for that damage, but they're not the only ones that seem to have that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it's pretty centered, so there is that kind of chance, that slight potential that we see it closer to the end game. Being able to stay on top of that island during that moment, having it claimed can be key to leading to a victory royale as we look back at Blaha comeback mix-in.
Starwand ima, a niko ne koristi Starwand. Dino 1-1, da.
It's like the calm before the storm. That's what it's really feeling like right now. And mixing Blaha
Atletico je dobio crveni u 5. minuti. I opet ovaj Barrios koji zadnji put dobio crveni.
So they're still looking to play from those slightly elevated positions, but again, if they're not finding the tags that they need, they're not going to continue to be able to try and hold on to those height spots because other teams are going to try and scoop them out from underneath them.
Looking over to Noah, Chap,
Niko ne koristi Starwand.
Like we saw with Blaha and his trio, making use of farming during your rotations as they get closer and closer to a position that they can kind of look for more tags from. Having 0 eliminations, they're just focused more on those long-range tags, not playing fully aggressive. The issue is Zone has pulled quite far here, so they probably want to start rotating as quickly as possible to potentially maybe even catch some trios off guard that are rotating in later. But for Nako, Kire, and Harko, they're just on the edge of this next zone, so they don't have to move just yet.
This is still big for them as far as their surge is concerned, because they're catching wind of all these teams that are rotating from a little bit later on out of Tunkel Terrace, out of Night Shift Forest. They're trying to make use of this zone pool and just holding teams as long as possible. Preemptively placing the Void Oni Mask in case they get a chance to key. All it takes is one knock, and that will be that immediate green says go. Let's make sure that we are getting active in this lobby.
Unless it's on Veno, then you get a little scared of Rico. And then you're like, oh, do I?
FPS.
That was me, I mean, yeah, but for these players, they're veterans. Tini, Hariska, V, 140 above have openings on the players that are still rotating in here, but Volko, Batman, and Fastroki, they're not going for long-range engagements. They're going straight into the action onto Pinks, Nebs, and Chino. You gotta be careful as Fastroki, Batman have lost over being only 5 below. Is it worth it to risk it all? With no materials, it might be.
But Volko knows that without any sort of mats, actually dragging out this fight up against the likes of Pink, Nebs, and Chino, it's going to be next to impossible. They're either going to have to fight, or they're just going to get third-partied. And so, choose what's right in front of you, or wait for what's about to make its approach, because Gripe's team wants a piece of the action. Chino knows it, though. Fastroki just a little bit too desperate, and that's going to be Chino's sign to get in there. That first elimination, a big opening statement from Pink.
Great job playing defensive from Nebs, Pink, and Chino, just waiting for one of their opponents to make a mistake, to catch them off guard as a solo and get that pick. This is, they don't even want to keep fighting this, they just want to get back to zone.
Janis, Rip od Sarđa.
Somehow lost this whole team alongside himself, goes down.
Rip.
But Nebs, Pink, and Chino now just going to make their way towards the zone.
Gledajte kog PC. Ja sam vam proračunaj za tjedan i po da još mi sastavljam tijelo.
The detour essentially of a lifetime, because
kad mi završe ispit.
At the start of this lobby, no Queasy, Murstache, and Swizzy to worry about means that other teams are gonna have to deal with a shift in search strategies, and that was the case there for Shaco, Skyjump, and Momsy. Just taking advantage of those rotations last minute. Malabuka though.
Nemoj to. Chris je van.
Following Akita's team for so long coming out of Nightshade Forest, and now with one elimination on the board, he knows that there's
Samo nemoj izaći.
I got concerned for a moment when we looked at Malabuka as his teammates were almost fully cracked, but then I realized, okay, wait, they've got this situation
Ima
under
i tu
control
neći.
so far, it seems. They're doing a bit of damage. Nobody's got it knocked yet, so we're good at the moment.
Ali potrojit ću se za linearno programiranje.
They have a chance to push themselves.
I da nisam ti proslijedio one vide. Ja ne znam kako se to proslijedi.
They just need one of those big games to make it happen.
Aha, ja ću linearno.
It's not as much as they've had previously, but it's more than enough, especially the position they're in mid-zone. Let's see what happened to Teenies give V.
A, bili su below i uspio
How
uzeti.
they're able to kind of find some of these eliminations.
Medias, Pixie are also staring down.
Šta da šesto?
Momsy and Shaco.
Ja ne podjer 60 zašto?
We had just seen Chap's team in. That's part of the benefits of getting those eliminations. But they're looking at teams from both directions, and they forgot entirely about the one on low. Loki and Monet reminding Marius not to hold those edits open for too long. As now, Marius, it seems like they're really just trying to follow where the lobby focus is at, but they don't have time to pick and choose. They've just got to get things going because they need more damage. They're currently sitting 57 below.
And that decision is being made. The triple Oni mask is going to come through. The aggression is going to begin.
5k. Pa rekao si 1800, brate, ne 1500.
On the side of the ridge, he's getting stuck, forced to pop a shield fish. Has to regroup with his team now, but he's already lost Vanya. Pixie's had a bit of time to recuperate his shield, now putting themselves 272 above, but at what cost?
Having already lost Vanya, Pixie, and
Marius je van.
Marius doesn't even have any shields. It's still a fight that he's probably got to commit to. I drop Sky and Scroll, though. They are in some trouble here.
Zapisuje 5k. Nisam znao da se piše 5000k.
Just continuing to be a threat.
Marius gonna find a knock though. They're continuing as a duo to make something happen. Not only have they put themselves above Surge, but now even picked up an elimination. It's possible. It's not easy, but it definitely is. Issue is only 100 HP, no shields to work with. Not even sure if Pixie has anything. Already getting tagged. Now they know that Marius doesn't have shield. It opens up kind of a...
Želić, jel imaš 1000 eura za posudit? Ovo je ne za posudit, nek za dat.
At the very least, though, Marius has so much material. He might not have shield, but if he can pinpoint any solo, any sort of duo lagging behind, even a trio, if they look like they're in a chalk position, it's something that Pixie and Marius are probably going to have to just commit to because they need some
Chris
sort
Grieve,
of
bio je.
they have to hope that there's goodies on those bodies.
Valjda je i dalje, nisam vidio da je umro.
Malabuka walks ping. They don't have as much surge as what we've been familiar to seeing them work with, but at the same time, Takada, they've got a
Pa Geno se mogu, ali meni je to glupac imat. Ja kad bi tražio, dali bi mi.
focal point of the rest of the lobby.
Ali imaju oni malo i drugih nekih problema, nek da meni daju da uzem PC od 3000 eura. Mislim da bi me sterali u kurac. Malo su below. 80 below. Ugasili su ga.
Look, if there's ever a team I would never want to be desperate for Surge, it's this one because they've definitely got the fighting power to match it. Veno, though, teleporting doesn't get punished despite clipping that wind tunnel from underneath Shogun's arena. Still, he needs to find
Imali
tags.
bulca ga
His whole
ugasio.
team knows that their fate in this lobby depends exclusively upon whether or not they can actually
Samper
get
je
this
naš
knock
posao,
onto
Viko je
Malabuka. They
dead.
need as much damage as possible, and finally, Vico providing a little bit of relief, cutting that gap all the closer to being above that threshold.
But you gotta be careful. Flixie's been knocked as well. It's all up to Veno and Vico to make something
Vico uzima
happen.
kill.
Knock's gonna come through on
Bravo,
the
Vico.
wing. Can they take out the second place team on the
Što se igra, igra se.
Our top three trios about to go
Realni
down.
tot.
It's all up to Veno. He's left alone as a solo.
No shield, no whites.
Ripi Veno, brat.
This position.
I Kvizi Veno ga ugasili.
A miracle player.
Uj, on je još below.
The only one that's stuck
Da, umro je Srđe. Mislim da ga je Nathan drop. Gledaj Savage što čila. Bez 8 igrača, pa dobro. Cikveno je preživio. Tako nismo orpanije. Uzeo još... šta si igra si. Savage na haju. Ten ima 1 HP ranu. Bijemo mi Čiću. Kako je otpri lobby, kaže. Sky 12 HP. Skvi uzo kill. Ode i Marius. Ode i Sky. Živi još nekako. Ne znam kako. Hris. Finiša Hrisa. Dobio je kill? Nije, sam se healo s ovim. Pada i Skvi. Ne, odu Balkanci. Tu je umro. Tu si umro, brate moj. Pada i Trolex. Teni healofa iz... Svi Balkanci su rip. Gle, ovaj retard živ. A ja ga shit. Ti ga shite, da. Ode Teni. Nije, živ je Teni. Top 7. Što si igrao si. Rip. Nathan pop-offa, Nako isto pop-offa. Pustite li, po čemu me us? Dobio je crack 4 puta. Ti da je sad jednom me kreko. I drugi put kad sam bio zero mac. Eclipse ga je dead. Demus pop-offa isto. Se, pade Jarko. Savage vina, a? One će čovkat ovo. Savage je dead. Oni će čovkat ovo. Neć. Već sam mislio da će čovkat. Voliš launchpad, jebote vam.
I have 12 bullets, AR. Zone. 2v2. Kill that kid in zone. No. It's 2v2, 7. DP. We got. We got another guy. 80. 100. Above us. Nice. Get meds. I don't med get below you. Come here, Panzer, come here. I'm getting meds. It's a 2v1 show. I'm smashing. Nice! Come on, boys! Let's fucking go, baby! Let's go. Come on!
Bravo Savage, bravo.
Good shit, boys, good shit.
Ja, nemoj mi sad pušta pjesme. Ne glum debila, 40k ljudi ga gleda, Ford gleda 20k. Strašno. A, vidjeli dobro. I prvi su Demus, Darm i Pix. Svizi, Kvizi, Mrstaš drugi, ovaj retard je treći. Kako? Manjak, Pix, Marius četvrti, Hris je peti. Hris nam se malo beko, CZB, Eclipse, Nathan. Šesti, Arko, Nako, Kajer sedmi, Viko, Veno, Flixi osmi. Jebi ga. Ping, Vox, Mal, Bucu 9, iDrop, Sky, Scroll 10, Mongrel, Savage, Panzer sa Vinom 11. Mongrel, srpska zastava. Artist 12, Pink 13, Trulexi 18. 9, 23, 11. 0 kilova, ništa, brate. Zadnji. I dalje Seti, Kami, Čeri. Čeri, kak se kaže? Retro. Moneymaker je 29. Oni su uzeli 0 bodova. Piksovski, Roban. A dobro, Kvizi beka sad. Šta je s Kamijem? Pa 3 od 3 klinali uspon. To se neš... Misliš? A moraju ih klinat jednom, brat. Ne mogu sve luzat. Kada mi je sljedeći game? Ne, nego od Panzera tate valjda Srbin. Koliko sam skužio. Poslije na to, a šta priča? 3 minute, još za 6 minuta game. I oni su desno su ispred ovih. Koji? Aha, ovi. Srben da Panzer. Inače, ja mislim iz Švicarske. Ali nisi sigurno. Šestdeset PR-a imaš. Koliko spropo. Znači. Mongrel. Mongrul. Sunga stiže. Nekad si imao 200 KPR. Nekad. Bilo je to davno. Da, normalno da ima tak malo PR-a kad su oni bili na nacu. Tu ima 20k. Znači na setting se pa imaju ljudi. To. Monitore, setting se, svašta nešto. Bez AK. Ali ne pišem u PC. Da je Peter bot iz Hrvatske. Nije iz Hrvatske, on je iz Mađarske, ja mislim. Kako ga sačekao. Vaske opo, moje Vaske. Šta je s Vasketom, brate? Njega nema više, on umro. Evo ga, vidim samo gdje plaće po Twitteru. Gorica dobila crveni. Dobio je drugi žuti u 63. Jesi kaj domis, mislim. Ne, dovoljno da majke Vaske plaće svaki tjedan dana je plako po onom Twitteru, ne znam.
Team that actually went up there and tried to take Island from them, they just forced them off of it. You know, Mongol, Savage Panda, they were like, no, this is our island. None of you can get up here and take it. The thing is though, with that sort of like back and forth, a bit of a stalemate on the island, nobody actually took down the Shogun boss. So there's a point where the team leaves the island and they're still up there and Shogun's just like firing away those fire masks.
No, treba biti ne bi penal za Dinamo,
and they win the game and I'm very, very happy for my boys.
Yeah, and there is nothing about this Victory Royale to do with the fact that a lot of our big name trios didn't have the best surge in E minor.
Yeah, we didn't get to see a lot of our big names in there, right? We saw a lot of our names that we maybe expect to be looking good on situation. I mean, we saw that with Veno's team, we saw that with Vanya's team as well. Just teams that have been performing well so far today and have been getting to these end games. They struggled, and I know Malibuka's team is another one of those as well. They just didn't have that surge done early, and it just shows how difficult it really can be for some of our teams here, because the meta 11, the way that people get surge is so different depending on the teams, and if you're below, it's so
ima još do kraja.
No, honestly, like I feel like we always get games like this in like, you know, grand finals here in EU where like there'll just be the one game where like a lot of the big names, the big hitters just aren't there. And like it was funny because we sort of like, you know, pinged around, the observers are showing us every single different like one of these big teams. You know, just trying to solo cuts, trying to like do something, a shambles game, and I think it just goes to show how tough these lobbies are. When it comes to surge thresholds, you're having to do so much damage. Your little early game fight that you're doing near your POI isn't enough. You have to be getting and accumulating damage all throughout the early and mid game to be in a comfortable spot. And speaking of comfortable spots, I don't think anybody was expecting to see Pix, Dom, Demas leading the way. It's only been 3 games, I know. But come on, a team playing in their first major finals, leading the charge here in EU. Wow.
Pa to su ti, brate, Instagram botovi. To imaš i na svim objavama HNS-a bar par takih i na svaku, uglavnom Instagram botovi. Ljudi, odo na WC, tu sam za sekundicu.
And they have that uncontested, powerful drop spot. Of course, they didn't make it all the way in this game. Of course, they didn't end up picking up a victory, but keep doing that throughout the day, and that's going to really benefit them.
We need to do a really quick check-in, boys, because I did speak to Nikov from Gentle Mates earlier. If you want to witness him and the likes of Gatarga from the Mates chatting, they're streaming on Gatarga's channel right now. We've got some good news for those boys and for all their fans watching, because they are 3 for 3 in the Osborne battle versus Camiseti and Chari. Nikov said, just wait, and I have to say, I didn't really believe him, but Mini Minor, I was wrong.
Yeah, and as was I in terms of my expectations of how this fight was going to go. I'm sure a lot of people would say the exact same. This is not how things were supposed to go from the perspective of Kami, Seti, and Shari, but this is the dream start for Podesai, Kira, and Xfees. They just absolutely dominated so far. That fight right there took a little bit longer, which resulted in a third party coming on in, but Levin, they just absolutely dominating so far.
Evo majko, evo za ovo mogu.
Piazza
Masterclass. Da, ja sam rekao koliko ću, da ću vidjeti koliko sam para kupio za PC, da vidimo. Treba to sad brojat. Ja ne znam brojat. Dobro, Frank, jes ti prsla, brat?
Thank you guys so much, but Takata, we have definitely never seen the stakes be higher. Already in day one here, the major one final, so many of our big hitters looking to maintain their entry points inside of match 4.
Oh yeah, like you said, they kind of got knocked down a little bit, and a first-time major finals trio is leading the pack, right? We're just halfway through, and already so much has happened. Off-spawn engagements are going crazy. Will Cammy, Seti, and Cherry be able to come out on top this time around? Let's see as we get into game 4.
1000. 2, 4, 6, 180, 1100, 2, 4, 6, 180, 1200, 2, 4, 6, 8, 1300. Ovako u kešu.
At the same time here, Takata, big moments for sure coming out of Podesai,
Koliko na kartici?
Oh yeah, no, even in the last game, I mean, Darm had no materials and he was reloading his shotgun. So when he opened the edit, he couldn't cover himself. He couldn't even take a shot. I saw some 1v2 happening in one of the dimensions that end game was played out. But we go back to the off-spawn engagement at Seaport City. Swizzy starting off strong.
Swizzy ga ugasio.
But quickly enough, Shakeoffs with the slide is gonna knock him down.
Na kartici još 900. Skupilo se za PC. Iskreno, respekt.
Of last match, if it happens once again a repeat, this could be devastating for their place on the leaderboard.
Queasy ga ugasio.
He's got the HP. The problem though, Queasy stuck in the air off of this kinetic blade.
Saga. Queasy umro.
Right behind him, Queasy trying to follow through with the Oni bump and not gonna manage to find it just yet. But Mustache, what a teammate, what a backup play, because Queasy might have been toast otherwise. Granted, Queasy might still be in a whole world of trouble here though, Takata.
It's not over yet. Gonna use the kinetic blade to get out, but he has to be careful. Chug splashes were found, recuperate a bit of that lost HP as Mustache continues.
Mustache ga knock, huh?
And it looks like
Bravo.
he has knocked down Shakeoff. So once again, it looks like they're gonna battle this out in a 2v2.
Skađam 100 HP-a.
Former Stash trying to buy him just a little bit more time to get that rotate through. If they could at least find that elimination onto Shaco.
Što najjače revive će ga.
The clean 2 versus 2 here, but Queasy, he's still unable to find an angle.
Bravo.
Gets right behind Momsy though. Mustache with the ultimate distraction.
Mustache van.
But Mustache, he might pay the price still. 1 versus 2. This is all
Nije ga digo.
favor. And sure enough, Mustache, Queasy, they've got time to work with here. They know Shaco's is out of the picture entirely.
Oh yeah,
Van, jako low.
Skyjump now on a sliver of HP. All it's gonna take is one bullet to connect as Mustache looks for an angle, but actually he's gonna go for the reboot. He says, you know what, we have time now. Skyjump doesn't have heals. He has to recuperate. We're gonna take this time to bring Swizzy back in the game, make it a 3 versus 1, and increase those odds of winning this off-spawn engagement to the maximum.
Now Skyjump could still look to be a nuisance here and
Kak mi je Seti prošao?
iDrop and Sky and Scroll who look to ultimately capitalize on this fight taking place here at Seaport City. Queasy trying to put up a front, trying to put up some defensive measures, but he just doesn't have enough left over from that first exchange. He's gonna have to fall back.
Yeah, I mean, they have this in mind.
Sky
and Scroll. It takes them, what, a minute and 30 seconds after the drop to start third-partying Seaport. They get there so quickly with the drop spot they have that it kind of shows the danger of taking too long to finish that Seaport fight. But the good news is they saw the reboot come through. They know it's a full trio, and now the third party is kind of a little bit riskier. So they're just going to take those pop shots as usual. As we look at what happened by Lost Lake, it looks like, Taco, am I seeing this once again? Cammy and Seti going down to Podesai, Akira, and X-Squeeze. 4 for 4.
That's got to be devastating to the mental, but no time left.
Crazy rage.
Clownsky, Moneymaker, Kudenbree, caught in a box fight all their own. Clownsky, see if he can fall back. Help out Moneymaker, but Moneymaker might not need the help based off how he just found that last elimination so cleanly. Instead, it's going to be the third party out of Nathan and CZB that are the real threat here. Moneymaker forced to retreat back into these builds. Eclipse, though, already closing in, already getting the overhead angle. CZB Nathan as well. Potentially looking to cut off every single avenue of escape.
Yeah, you saw them think about it. They were like positioned up to play aggressive here. They had all angles cut off, but they're like, you know, they're most likely full shield, full HP. It's gonna take a while. It's a little risky. And it looks like the disengage did come through as Eclipse got cracked by a whole other trio. Hopefully he is going to be able to get out though as he's regrouped with CZP. ZZB now a bit of time to recuperate that shield, but the shots are still coming through.
Kijali su.
Knowing that it's Upple's team though, applying pressure.
Oh no.
Scroll, Queasy. This is so problematic, and Scroll does get that first elimination onto Queasy, which now leaves Swizzy, Murstache to fend for themselves. But iDrop, he's already got fuse tags. He knows Murstache's shields are low, that he doesn't have a whole lot of HP to work with, and it's just a battle of attrition at this stage.
All players split up. Swizzy left alone.
Ček WC-u, da, jesam.
As Murstache did what he could to escape. iDrop, Sky, and Scroll continuing with their third party. I think Skyjump ended up getting eliminated, but he was up there a second ago. As now they have to decide, do we continue the hunt here? Where is Murstache hiding? I mean, if Murstache, it looks like he is going to be able to get out, but even so, this is going to be a long match for them.
Yeah, because now Comic Blaha Mixon drawn towards Seaport after witnessing everything go down, considering how close they are at Shattered Span. This is a really easy route of approach here.
Pa neće biti hladno, 0 stupnjeva
Trying to
sad.
scramble through these buildings, Scroll as well. This Danish trio, Takata, has just been left in absolute shambles because of how
Se vidi Uroš, ja?
trying to find those eliminations against Queasy's team. And sure, they might have gotten one of them, but at the same time, leaving yourself susceptible to all these third-party opportunities, everyone in the area just seems to now be local.
It's just back to back to back. They can't catch a break. The trio's dropping at Seaport. But in the meantime, we have Yanis, Noah, Rayleigh, and Chap, who are up against the Spanish trio, who are doing quite well. Shout out to them in 7th place.
Kod mene je trenutno, piše -1.
Pressure onto them from all the trios that drop in the surrounding area. Chap looking for angles. Yep. Haruko looking to see what he can do.
A sutra kad budem bio na tekmi, bit će 0.
Noah Riley has really been a firepower stick-out figure for Yanis's trio, though.
Je pada snijeg, da.
Ever close nearby.
Gluk tenije za drveta dolje.
Could be an absolute menace. Both of these teams seem completely oblivious to the fact that he's just lurking nearby.
Yeah, the issue is, like you said, so much potential.
Ne znam, Andi, ne znam. Ove sezone ne vjerujem.
As Chap now looking to play aggressive with that crack onto Gide, forced to use the chug splashes, angles onto
Misliš da mi?
as he gets cracked as well, but the
Bio sam ja na tekmama gdje je bilo 10 puta hladnije. Plus kiša i gdje sam pokisao po te hladnoći.
Leaving go all alone on the high ground, and Teeny, Skavi, and Jerez still playing patiently.
Oh no, Chap
tries
to work his way back up to height, but that was the moment that Teeny and Ski were waiting for. Chap now a victim after having just this last fight with an elimination of his own. But everybody
No mogao bi si ja, brate, čaj uzeti sutra, iskreno.
They recognize the fact things are on fire essentially on this cliff face. We do not want to be a part of it.
No, this is like a code red for any trio here. You do not want to be here right now. As Yanis doing what he can to escape, but it's Cryfalls and his trio trying to catch up to him. Noah, Yanis.
Ti sprsu što? Ugrijete čaj.
Want to make something happen in this match.
The amount of material that they just expended, the amount of time it's going to take to get that reboot in the first place. So many questions left to be answered for whether or not they can actually overcome. Still, Teeny's team probably happy. Murstache, on the other hand, finally scooped up with the rest, just kind of swept clean there out of Seaport City. What once looked like a very optimal start there for Queasy's team is now starting to work against them, because that's part of the adaptations that other teams are.
Čekaj, Queasy ko na ovog Skyjumpa, ali tak?
Final set lobby here, Takata. Teams are just going to recognize exactly what kind of fights others are taking and look to just pick them apart for it.
Yeah, and this is now the second game back-to-back where Queasy, Swizzy, and Merstash have gone down. So early into the match, they were looking so strong. I mean, Merstash having won every single major one.
Pazi ovo. FNC is the Grants player.
Wanting to do it once again, but now they have this hurdle where they just can't get off spawn. They just can't get out of Seaport alive. And now hopefully, you know, if they're able to do it more, once they get to those end games, they've been performing. It's just getting to them now off the early game is just too difficult.
Nice za to respect.
Wow, this is a deep chase from Teeny's team. Full commitment.
Jo, Uroš prso. Chris Key, a? Uno Riley će da tlači. Pa Chris umro zone.
He's at least gonna make sure that Aetherus works for it. No, Riley might not have shield, but he's still got a pump. He's still got damage to offer. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't have the numbers. Teeny will get that knock. Yanis still somewhere nearby though, having just managed to escape.
I don't know if it's even nearby at this point, Taco. He's gone. He's left.
Oni sad chillaju. Evo I Veno.
Now forced to make their way back. We take a look at Veno, Vico, Flixie. Now this is huge for this trio. Having one of their top competitors gone down so early, this opens up that option, that opportunity for them to now overthrow them on the leaderboard. Starting with 3 eliminations themselves, this could kind of be the start. But you know, you never know. We still got Demus up there. We still got Pix, Darm. If they have another big game, it's going to be hard.
For sure, but we also know
that
Vico, Veno, and Flixie, they've got
loš.
on just about everyone. They've got very strong amount of
Da bio spawn Veno u steni. Ma nema, to je grifanje jednog I drugog tima, sam no reason.
Help them just dictate which part of the dead side rotation do they actually want to pursue. There's also still high odds that they'll be able to get
To, njega. Njega lumi.
Uh-oh, shots are gonna come through by Noms. Not going full aggressive though. They've already gotten cracks, but they're not just committing.
Brat sam Blay na Twitteru od Quiziju.
They're not going for a triple spray. They're not going for a pre-edit. They're continuing to take angles even though they have that advantage. It kind of makes me think that they're just playing it a little extra safe. They're a little scared. They don't want to go down here. As now Guden is looking to see if he can maybe find an angle onto Gripey, onto Rizoi. Is there any option he can take here? But once he breaks that tree, they're gonna know.
Crazy se
turns his eyes towards him, and now it's turned into
njega lomi, tak, toga.
Neither of these teams seem to be looking back at where they just came from out of Magic Mosses, and keep in mind, Veno's team, they're pushing south. They might actually stumble upon this little engagement taking place here, and if Gudembri's trio is not able to focus out those elims sooner rather than later, they're gonna be forced to deal with a third-party scenario.
Speaking about storm engagements though, Chino might have an angle here, forced to break down.
Opet umrla kamera.
Gonna have an opening. As now looks like a regroup back to Nebs and Pink, as I don't know if they're gonna want to fully commit to this fight, but looking at our #1 trio in terms of the leaderboard, Darm, Pix, and Demus are now in not the best of situations, as Demus has been knocked down and fully eliminated. So I'm not sure if they are gonna be looking for a reboot, or if this is something that kind of happened recently, but it looks like Mix and Blaha and Comeback are going to be the ones on the other end.
Demus nam ga je ugasio.
Surprising that Mix and Blaha and Comeback haven't opted to just immediately full key Darm or Pix.
Dokad traje ovo? Pa 6 gameova. Ovo je 4.
They're not even aware of the fact that Pix is lurking in this manner. He does have that Void Onimax to try and teleport to safety. But if Comeback doesn't actually want to commit to the chase, Pix might not have any other options here, because Darm just trying to hold down a separate angle. Pix though, brave in his own right, still willing to commit. He's directly at the bottom of their surge base, but it's a triple TP to his teammate. He knows that Darm's in a world of trouble.
Yeah, now it's going to be all about that regroup, taking shots back onto Mixon, Blaha, and Comeback to try and stop them from their aggression onto Darm, but Darm is doing what he can to stay up. They've spotted picks now. Oni Mask is going to get pre-placed back above. Are they going to go back to high ground? Are they continue chasing Darm?
Već sam im pa vidio što crveni po meni čisto.
Now with his
To je
say duo, his other teammate that's still up.
Laka tu facu, to je čisti žuti.
Most likely is going to be forced to regroup, but he could
To što on malo glup, to je druga priča.
As he has to be careful, the shots come through, Pix is cracked, and now is forced to play inside the storm.
This is so cooked for Pix. If anything, he might have just gone up and kicked the Hornet's nest with that last play commitment, but definitely respect the effort.
Ali čije ime je zabranjeno?
Going for that sneak approach, maybe trying to turn the tides in your favor. They didn't really have a whole lot of other options here, Takada.
POV koji će biti removani sljedeće sezone. Winkle, Night Shift, Lost Lake i Warrior Watch. Dobro, sve očeni POV-ovi. Ne znaš koji je gori.
Basically, even a decent entry point is going to be incredibly tough. Not to mention other teams still lurking nearby.
Oh no, they know too. Nefrizzi saw Pix rotating, but he gets the water sprite just in time to recuperate the HP and keep himself in the game. Darm now applying that pressure onto the aggressors, getting them out of the sight and hopefully giving Pix a bit of time.
Kaže no more Kami the Sekira.
That was a little too close for comfort.
One thing that Darm and Pix certainly have going for them is their fighting capabilities. Darm and Demas especially, the fact that they're going to be able to once again run things down as a full trio could be a scary sight for some of our other teams that are looking to try and
rebootali Demusa,
they're not maintaining
ali su below.
current first place position.
I ne znam di planiraju uzeti Surge.
It's not about how you start the day, it's about how you finish, especially when there's 2 days of games work through here. So I really think that Demas is fully aware of the fact that he's gonna have to take some time to get some better weapons online and hope that they can still maintain the same sort of firepower behind it.
Yeah, I mean, they have that motivation, that fire behind them from being in first place currently, and it's huge that they were able to get that reboot.
Mon Gral je dedo od Zendija, opa. Zendi on fire.
Up and running, a bit of time to recuperate mats. All it really takes now is one refresh, one elimination.
Ovo će biti opasan fight sad.
And from the confidence we've been seeing, with a great pistol, it might be the time where they look for something.
74 below though.
74 below, moraju skočiti. Katana! To! Lomi ga! 200 above. Jebem te u katanu. Squid, clean, no Riley, huh? Opa, 6. kill za Tenija.
This is a non-stop back-to-back.
This is some devious work by Teeny's trio, though. The fact that they would chase Yanis out to follow up on his reboot for his teammates. Noah Riley getting Elim by the same team back-to-back is just so tough, and sure enough, HMS
Mo šurili, glavo. Sad da ima katana da se uleti.
Only this time around, there were actually no survivors.
Yeah, and I mean, not only that, when they eliminated
Venom Island.
on the edge of the map in the water, like
Sad je Venom Island, 3 kila. 700 above. Chilling.
But hey, those are some extra points on the board now for Horistini and
Prvi i drugi su dead. Ten je treći.
But what I'm kind of thinking of in my head now is we got Veno with an invisibility now from this medallion.
Ja Hrizovina, vičem. Teni dead. Teni dead.
They've already got eliminations. They're on the Rift Island. They have prime position. And their main competitor
Ma Dominik ni blizu, bit će od pola puno eventualno.
So this is free pickings for this trio if they continue forwards into
Teni je dead.
And with the way that the zone is pulling, it's definitely doing them some NRX solids here, but granted, there's other teams that are also looking to try and keep match 4 going. Nebs,
Ne to je mišljenje.
Chino,
Ajaj.
having to expend the last of Nebs'
Ovo je
shield
Trulex.
just to prevent the surge damage from continuing
TP
to
je na
take away his
Trulexu, ne?
HP bar, but Trulex just underneath.
Ne.
Trulex, Tyson, and Chicho as well. They're a team that the desk and
Evo
us
Savage
we're
dolje.
kind of just waiting to see.
Al Dedi mi je mongrao.
As fraggy as some of these other teams, they kind of need it at this point because if you want a winning game, you're going to have to find eliminations, those consistent refreshes. As far as Chink, Pink, and Nebs are concerned, Chino just knows that it is going to be so tough here.
Yeah, the issue is it sucks, these situations where you're so close, you're just like 1 to 2 shots by the threshold, and you're just not able to do it. Pink goes down to Surge. They don't want to play aggressive because they're so close, but the issue is after Pink got eliminated, all his tags
Chris živ.
are now
Chris sjel, te nije umre.
puts them
Ode
137
Tino.
below. Now with Chino going down 194.
E sad da znaju da im je loot gore.
Is left alone. I don't even know how much below the Storm Surge threshold. Our previous game winners as well.
Saš basi ne mogu uzeti. A jebi ga kad su svi boksani.
Panzer and Mr. Savage to play it out as a duo. It's just, I mean, this is tragic, Taco.
Dobro, igrali oni duel trio, isti klinac.
Exactly like how you'd imagine for a lobby that's suffering from having
A
dealt
pitanje je li Teni dead, brate. Viš da im baga ovo gore. Sad piše da je Quizy umro prije 100 godina.
Smothered to the low ground. Veno's team in prime position on the front side of zone already. Nebs just hoping to remain as concealed as possible. He at least has a decent amount of builds to work with, but when you're a solo and these types of circumstances, and you're 368 and it just keeps growing and growing away from you as far as the damage threshold is concerned. Nebs, he's gonna have to just hope that this small fry make it. It can maybe buy him a little bit more placement, but things are looking pretty grim.
Yeah, dark for Nebs right now. He needs some shining light, something, anything, but unable to get it. It's gonna go down. In the meantime, we have Skavi and Haris here, fishing up to recuperate that desperate need of shield, of heal.
Trulex je dead.
The storm's already closing. In 45 seconds, it's gonna be fully closed, so they don't have time.
Dobro, brate, svi dedali, ono.
To force a rotate here without even being able to recuperate
Pa nije ga Chris živ.
shield and HP, but Panzer on the other hand looks like is gonna pick up a knock. Good amount of chug splashes, good amount of materials. They can make something happen even though they're a duo here.
The problem though with where they're trying to like blindly TP through, there's just so much congestion having already pulled on these edges of zone. Panzer though does have
Panzer i Savage klačaju tras.
his inventory's at least got 7 to work
Trust.
with here, so they can afford to just tank a little bit of storm damage if need be to continue boxing up in a better position to comparison to the rest of the lobby, but they can't play immediate frontside. They're just trying to remain a little bit more concealed here.
As now the next zone has appeared. This is where you want to be as quick as possible to plan your potential rotates. As Pixie now is going to make a play for height.
Pixie na haju.
Rotate is maintaining high ground, it might seem, as they're ahead of the storm here, looking to see if they can hold on to it. Vanya, Marius, Pixie looking to get a big game here.
Čičo je van.
Middle ground though, Malabuka's team just steady waiting for an opening. Sky, eye drop, and scroll though from the low front. They're trying to just make sure they can claim as much space as possible. 2 boxes wide currently, but Sky knows it's gonna take more
Veno full
than
učila.
just a setup in the low ground. They're gonna need those elimination refrags to come through.
Full učila.
Veno, Flixie, Vico, we know how much they love to chop height. They've got to have it in their sights.
I see it. I see Veno already looking up. He wants to constantly be aware of
Ovo
how
nemaš
high
to
ground's
kacat.
looking. They're ahead of zone.
Teško da je možeš claimat taj high.
But the issue is high ground looks so healthy. They need to find an efficient shot.
Pade
there.
Ju.
While they take that time,
Oširili su Jua.
you got Flixie fragging out in the backside of the Tarp here, picking up refreshes to continue their dominance in terms of material.
Koliko kasnije play?
Needed to retake the height later on.
7 ili 8 minuta.
Meanwhile, Savage.
Ali mislim da ovo nije ko glavni replay, ovo je ja mislim 3 minute delay. Squeeze solo. A džao je kad je ovaj brat spojilo, brati, kad znaš kad će umret, ono.
Just barely, but it's just not going to be enough here, Takada. If he wants to really break through, he needs a refrag, and currently he's forced to play backside with Atris.
Ola, ovi klimali kaj. Savage solo.
Mr. Savage though now left alone as a solo. One elim on the board, looking to make it more. 27H or shield to work with. Right now he has to play backside zone. He has to be careful. He can't go too far ahead. He doesn't have the loot to do so. It's just scavenging as many placements as possible and trying to find other solos that are also
Savage clutch.
loot and materials to pick off and get that refresh from. The issue is there's just so many duos, there's so many trios close by that it might be hard to find an opening on a solo, but he's doing a great job of riding the
Savage, maybe top 8. Ne daje mu ništa više od tog.
Nobody spots him out because Mr. Savage only having 4 builds left. Takada, it's almost like he's pickaxing to his own demise here soon enough. Spots the fact that Malabuka is more than healthy enough, trying to just get ahead of the player that pushed up directly
Top 7.
him, and Savage
Opa.
more time
Opa!
in the underground, but it's still just so much left before everything is going to completely close out in this lobby.
Flixi opo. Savage i dalje živi. Kak je on živi dalje? Kak njega niko ne vidi? O, digli su Flixija. Pade Sky. E, ode Savage. Top 7. A dobro.
Still though, the fact that Flixi's up and running means that this trio is still as threatening as ever. Lucia also pays the price for giving away
We are on full pressure.
where they were shooting from. The Freezy will be the first to fall as well, and so many teams just encounter.
Bam, shit on. Krcao kaj. Pixie man.
You never see it coming.
Malabuka paying, continuing as a duo. They look to chop down high, but they know it's a full trio. They might just have to make the decision to drop down low, but the issue is down low, it's the beasts that are hungry for more.
Marius je full high, ja.
Start dropping down, start opening.
Veno nema niš za healov.
Looking to see if they can get some damage, get some extra eliminations before they look to close it out, but Veno
Pade Pixie. Najbolji. Najbolji. Pade mali buca. 2 na 1. Pade Marius. Ma da. Veno najbolji, brat. Veno, doktor. A nemaš, kad imaš Vika i Vena u istom timu i još Flixi koji bruka IGL, možeš se slikat, brat. Ne možeš im niš, ono, inače na kraju final se za ne znam koliko bodova prednosti. Tako da ono. Idemo vidjeti leaderboard. Viko, Veno, Flixi prvi, ovaj brat je drugi. Vanjak, Marius, Pixi četvrti, Pinkbox, male buca. Vanjak, Pixi, Marius treći, Pinkbox, male buca četvrti, iDrop, Sky, Scroll peti, Pigstorm, Demu šesti, Hris je pao na 7. mjesto. Kvizi 8, Mongral 9, CZB Eclipse Nathan 10, di su naši Balkanci ostali troje Čičo 23. Našem sviđa ova plava boja. Eto. I ovi su drugi, brate. 3, 6, 6, 4, to su im gameovi. Veno je IGL. Veno je preuzeo sve. Ali Flix je inače IGL. Ali Veno je preuzeo sve. Čovjek doktor, brate. Evo, kog zanima, reaction, game number 2.
Famous! Nice, nice, nice!
A gledaj što mu se čuje sa sluške di mu vrište ovi.
One's on me, one's on me. 100! Die!
Evo mama mu Blaze. Dobro je, Viko. A iščilaj malo, brate. A Veno se čuje, brate. Razdala, pa da vinaš grance. Mislim da ne bi. Dobro je, eto. Sve već da ćeš gledat klačeve. Ili neće doći do klača. Ne, toga sam te. Gdje smo toga? Sweet. Na čem si me toga? Aha. To. Veno igraš me, Veno je doktor. Da idemo seđu reakciju na Popofena. Oh my god. Sljedeće, Veno je objasnio neke stvari. Ajmo Fortnite natrag. Gdje je ovdje još games to vidim. Na tom editu. Aha, Peter. Lol. Klik s live-a. Ne live. Veno doca. Veno objasnio neke stvari. Dinamo je 3-1 na kraju, ja? Ljudi, izašla je nova mapa, tako da ko nije stavite ju u favorite, obavezno. Nova mapa, samo favorite i GG. Stavi opis. Već. Jo, izbriši ja tracker, čekaj. Kuleneš doktor. Kuleneš ga zaveze 3-1. A doktor Kuras, brate, promašivo je Zicera i Zicera prijašnje utakmice. Sad ljudi pišu po Twitteru Kulenović doktor. Aj je. Pet timova vamo. 5 timova vamo. I Trulex koji je napravio vamo search base. Strašno. Trulex jadan. Nema kog da puca. Se dio rute game. Njega, Trulex u midu mape, a nemaš nikog da pucaš. Šta ću? Trulex shooting birds. Dobro, imao je ovaj brat da uzme nešto.
A blinder.
Yeah, really nicely played from...
No. Treba staviti punit phone. Će biti novo, ovi gradovi će biti removani ili promijenjeni. Tako je rečeno. Mislim, ne, to su sve debilni gradovi, to i treba mijenjati, to se bolest.
I think the key thing to remember is that when a team this sort of inexperienced in this lobby, you know, has us, you know, the early success,
To sve i treba mijenjati.
run into hiccups. They're gonna run into problems. We can't expect them to just, you know, win 12 out of 12 games, right? That's not the standard here for them. They're gonna have to figure things out, but they'll be all right.
Yeah, they're more than all right, judging by their position on the leaderboard. We have to head swiftly, though, into game number 5, so let's head back to Takata and Taco.
Thank you, Frankie. I mean, you were saying it yourself. It is incredibly close, and it can show just how much the leaderboard can change from one match. I mean, it's completely
Olympus jeste.
So, I don't know, Taco. Going into these last 2 matches of the
To je
day,
NPC
remind
trio.
us still have
Za
to
solo?
tomorrow, but of the day, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, Takata, because at least from a spectator point of view, I'm having an awesome time. These end games have been...
Pa zašto je ova ženska, brate, ofarbala lijevo, plavo, desno, međe, crno, nešto. Ćao, Željiću, čao. Čao iz Kosova, ne zna niko, brate. Vidi je na što liči. Još mi Dance, Olympus je bio bez. Mislim bez, bio je okej. I dalje mi je najbolji igrač koji je bio Roki. Neko pijanjeni farb. Ajmo, Seti, hoće li biti 5-0? Traži mi povrat novog.
Even more important to focus here, will they be able to kind of
5-0 ili 4-1? Saznaćem.
Locked in on the lost lake. Can Cami Seti Cherry make something happen?
Ne, mjesto, Roki naše mjesto. Opa, sad su splitali malo. Nisu odlučili 50-50. Svizi ubija jednog, drugi van.
exchange doesn't get drawn out this time around. One elimination already on to Shake goes, and sure enough, it's all
Ode i drugi.
to Mustache trying to make sure that they
To,
can
čisti,
completely clean up
čisti.
Seaport City.
From first place, dropped down to 8th now from those back-to-back blunders of matches that they had.
Očistili.
Now can they come back with those two
Ostaje još samo Momzi, ovaj.
Momzi being the last one. All they need to do is close this one out and play as
TPA
usual
lig.
to finish off a strong game. I mean, they just cannot afford much more bad matches.
Nah, Queasy's had enough though. He's got full tabs on where this own
Oilik ne zna
has been
TP baci.
placed. He's gonna send Mustache up to sick him, but Swizzy also making sure to cut off that exit way. Queasy, Mustache.
Dobro, switch me na setio.
Continuing to hunt Momzi down. They don't want to allow any opportunities for that French revival later on in the game off the reboot play.
Yeah, they want them out of the match. Don't want to even think of them for the rest of the game here. But so far, done a good job of kind of cleaning up and getting locked in once again to staying efficient.
Opa, ovi dobili kill od novog tima.
Gathering, but as we look back over at Lost Lake,
To, čisti!
your third party seems to have come through.
Aj sad padni i ti.
Gets knocked down. Xweez and Podosai left as a duo. I don't even know what Cammy said each
I ja, sad ću ga seti.
do in this situation, but
Neš.
there's a whole party going on.
Seems like Cammy, Seti, and Shari are just gonna opt to maybe try and leverage some positioning. Look for a knock or elimination onto Podosai and Xweez, the only remaining French players from
Heroji
this
su dipali.
team here at Lost Lake. But yeah, with that third party entry being so early on,
Seti
it's
fajta
just the
tamo, a?
results of teams that have been struggling to find success here today, Takata, and looking to come up with something out of nothing.
Stvari, full damage. A vidiš da prsa čovjek.
That's the difficult part. It's kind of having those
Moj
comebacks.
Kami.
As we look now, once again a bit more aggression being put onto Cammy and Shari here. Issue is they
Pade
just
će.
don't have anything in their
Shari, kak
favor.
kažeš.
Shari gets knocked down. Cammy said he left as a duo.
Pade i Kami.
Cammy now gets cracked as well, but he gets a big shot back onto his opponent. Forced to let the other players push on in, but as Cammy gets eliminated, Seti's left as a solo. It's looking grimmer and grimmer as the matches go on.
Odi Seti.
Seti in a last attempt here, trying to see if he can definitely through for any pickup of damage. It's just not going to be enough. We're starting to approach the conversation now where Lost Lake might just be a net negative for everyone involved at the start of it, at least. Aside from those
Unlucky.
teams that look for the third party, but Magic Mosses also has its own slew of troubles brewing here for Obab, trying to get an opening. X-Force as well, gonna make sure that anybody left behind is not gonna have a chance as Gripe
Pade
fighting for
Gripi.
his life, but too many opponents to deal with, and it's just too close for comfort. But Robob's team happy to get those elims early.
Yeah, good start. But the issue is now, with that time that was expended, they're gonna have to take some more time recuperating what they've lost, but you gotta be careful.
Ajmo svi skempo.
Rizoy is gonna get caught. Saw him
Žgat
crouch in the
nac
corner
dal
of
na
his eye,
TikTok.
quick little emote, as now they can spend that time to
Kinjuc.
continue with their path, but
Et.
it you know, it's a good start for the trio as we look back over to Pixie and Co.
And what's interesting is that that's also been a consistent fight over at Magic Mosses, but just doesn't seem like it's boded significant results for either of those teams. Pixie, Vanya, and Marius, on the other hand, though, they've definitely had a lot of hype success. They've also had a little bit of hindrance to some of their search strategy plans. Right now, it comes down to whether or not they can actually clean up this fight between themselves and iDrop's trio.
Gdje će lakše ga
Make
završi?
sure that they're maintaining
Kak si ti meni rekao, može i danas
other
završiti?
teams in the area as well. They know how susceptible teams are
Ooh,
to third
Pixie
party, and
won.
sure enough, Giannis from afar.
So many shots being connected. The laser beam onto Pixie as Sky, iDrop, and Scroll now have a little bit more time to decide what they want to do. Just farming up
Andi ne vjerujem, iskreno.
They kind of crouch over to them. They heard the crack come through. They know that it could have been a potential opening to maybe look for something, but as time continues goes on, we see Demas
I nadac.
What did they take down? 1, 2, a whole trio, it seems. As this is a great start for this trio.
Možda bi to Peter borio da mu Vadil nije došao na NA Central. Već je nešto priča da on može banat Vadila ako želi zbog tradanja Srđa. Već se usro malo. Već nam se uplašio.
Choose to kind of just stick around for a few moments longer. They don't necessarily have to keep fighting, unlike Ping.
We look over, yeah. They decided to go towards Twinkle Terrace here, and just like that, Batman's gonna be on the other end of this wall. Meanwhile, Ping Malabuka walks hard, looking to play a bit aggressive for those.
Desajte, pa bit će 3000 ljudi sud.
As Batman is continuing to take those corner shots, jump shots, but Ping has to be careful as he gets dropped lower and lower just to force shield. Forced to pop a big pot here and take a bit of time in the defensive end.
Volko already preemptively placing TPs to try and bail out. Doesn't want to get stuck.
Zašto tak malo? Pa zašto su popušili od Gorice prošli?
These third-party scenarios are just not going in most teams' favors here today. Clownski, Gudenbri rotating out of Whiffy Wharf. Bound to have heard all the commotion taking place at Twinkle Terrace, and for Ping Malabuka and Walks, while they haven't been able to necessarily confirm an elimination, they still got a decent amount of damage, and they know that there's just too much foot traffic in the area right now. They need to find a better positional point to try and get some tags in.
Speaking about positioning, it looks like Nako, Harko, and Kide have been able to get out of the trenches, kind of on the edge of the map where they were dropping. They've had a lot of difficulty just getting up this hill with all.
Teri opet kempa pored fajta, brati, za builda. Gleda.
They are in an engagement once again, but it's fine. It's going to give them that damage. And hopefully they were already able to get a bit, as now they have chosen to disengage, as Teeny, Harris, and Skivi once again kind of crouched around looking for an opening.
A little bit awkward though for Teeny. I mean, when you don't actually have
a
central drop that you want to function out of, and you're forced every single lobby to essentially just stake your bets, trust in your own gameplay capabilities to find a last-minute plan to come up with a huge positive for your team. Kide, Harko, unhappy with what's going down here at Mass Meadows. What had initially been position there for Chap Yanis and Noah Riley in the early game, starting to get a little bit more traction as some of these other teams pushing in sooner to these POIs, trying to get a piece of the action before they have to worry about those surge thresholds.
Cheateri su malo problem trenutno u igri.
When they were on the snowy mountain close by and decided, you know what, let's go maybe for more fair 3-on-3.
Je bilo 5-0. Došao novi tim i klino je oba tima. Tada ne računa se ko 5-0, ali Set je opet umno 32. Evo ovaj brat.
In a position where if you look at the bottom right in the mini map, there's a lot of... It's a popular location, you can say. As Adam's gonna be careful, a crack's gonna come through, drop to 64 HP, and now forced to play defensively.
This is Malabuka's team backyard. They're in home ground currently. Is Adam has to fall back, has to regroup with Fincheck. Fortunately enough, this hill face is gonna provide a decent point.
Možete kako on meca vejsta, brat. On u jednom gameu play sa više buildova nego što gajde play sa cijeli kap. Vidi ko šuri. Pa je, Dangi, da, to je problem. Sutra će Ramon. Dap.
I'm not sure where the last remaining player is, but that puts them up to 4 total eliminations so far. Now gonna have more than enough damage. This is more what I would expect from a trio like this. I mean, they always kind of take these engagements, take these fights that sometimes you could say would put them into risky situations, but their true, I guess, thing that sets them apart is being able to kind of recover from those situations if they do end up going poorly. The good news is, I mean, the type of trio they are, it's not going to go poorly too often for Podosai, X, Squeeze, and Akira, though. been leading in terms of early game engagements, but unable to kind of close it out in the late games.
Got to deal with the likes of Gudembry and Moneymaker now, but also have to remember Malabuka definitely somewhere nearby. So you don't want to get all in commit heavy unless you know for sure that you can actually close out the fight. The longer things go on, the easier it'll be for a team to set up positioning and hold you inside of the storm. As X-Squeeze trying to get a different angle now, looking to break down this wall. Akira's got to be careful.
Sigurno snegu, Ani. Ma nisam ni izašao iz kuće.
Instead, gonna eat the other end of that pump shot. Gudembry will manage to fall though.
Moneymaker now left alone, doing what he can to hold his ground as Podosai and X-Squeeze have to make a decision. Do they continue in the 2 versus 1? Do they pick up their fallen teammate Akira? As Moneymaker has been cracked, double res is going to come through, turn it back into a 3 versus 1, and with that, hopefully, they can close it out.
Pade Moneymaker.
Unfortunately, though, Moneymaker
Samo sad ću se ostati, jebi ga.
to try and come up with a third party in the first place. And sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, just not in your favor. Swizzy, Queasy, Mustache, though, this has been a complete 180 from the last couple of lobbies that we've kind of watched them through. Swizzy, a massive surge base currently just outside of Seaport City, and it almost looks as if they're trying to establish for a
Još jednom izvat vanka. Pa dobro.
I mean, it wouldn't be something new, something we're not
Važno dobije Slaven.
from this trio. What's impressive though is just from those first 2 matches they actually played out after getting out of Seaport. I mean, that's basically all the points they have. They had 2 matches where they got basically nothing, and they're still in the top 10, even despite that. So, I mean, hopefully, with one big game here, it's going to push them back into that top 5, top 3 potentially, but it's easier said than done, as Haruko has not lost Nako up here by Master Meadows, so not sure how they're going to be able to recuperate from this.
Let's see, Kire knows Loki and Luce. They want to try and get an overhead position.
Kotletko gubi, pokaz dobili crveni u drugoj minuti faza, ne znam ni koji je.
Luce, Monet, and Loki, they're just trying to completely rotate out. They've got the ability to try and hold. Noah Riley, though, he's been knocked. Chappin Yanis on top of the island, dealing with Vanya and Pixie.
Oh no, this is a difficult situation too, because not only are they dealing with the trio up close by the boss, but there's a whole other trio taking shots from afar, and meantime, you got Shogun just jumping into your box, breaking down your build, causing disruption, as now this puts a lot more pressure on all the trios that are up here, but Vanya connecting some...
Jebi Gandhi, brate, jel bi ti bolje isto ko Viko 4-5 godina žrtvovo i da si osiguraš para za cijeli život ili... Izlazi van svaki dan i rip. Tons of teams looking to go at it on top of Shogun's arena, and you have to remember, it's not necessarily always about that Shogun's medallion that these teams are after. Sigurno izlazi van, brat, 100% nije retardiran. Being able to actually control the flow of the lobby that can be the real difference maker up top.
Gotta be the most trios I've seen up top. I mean, not only today, but even taking groups into play and everything. Normally you see 1 or 2 contesting each other, but maybe based on, you know, what we've seen comes from the placements after these trios have played Island. They're getting a bit more popular mid-major finals, as Finnick and 1UP here alongside Adam are just kind of taking shots down below. A dobro, level ti niš ne znači, brate. Ja sam ove sezone 600 level, a nikad manje nisam igrao igricu, brate. Tako da ono. Plus ti ako pracaš skrimove, ti 0 levela dobiješ u skrimu. It feels like have been surrounding some of our bigger name teams or the new up-and-comers, Takata, but gotta keep tabs on what's unfolding right in front of us after all, and Opal Adam, they seem to have figured something out, and XP's got to be careful.
same story here for Sky Scroll and iDrop. They're just trying to make sure that they can stake out where exactly these other teams are rotating in from, but that mountain behind them could prove to be their biggest hurdle yet, because working your way up a mountain that teams have already got surge bases built up on is so difficult.
I'm trying to think if that surge base is actually.
Znam, Žujiću, znam, vidio
I
sam.
don't think it is, because just the edge of it.
Yeah.
Might be going for a play here on top of the surge base. They want to go for Teeny and Haris, but not getting enough elevation. They're not going to open up a chance to connect the shot. And now, like we were alluding to, they're still not in the zone. They're going to have more trios keeping an eye on them because they are so elevated that it's going to make this rotate just that much more difficult, as they're actually going to choose to disengage from this and come back at a safer time.
Still, now they got to deal with the teams that were kind of hovering near the underbelly of that Shogun's arena. Article looking to try and back up his teammates, but Jap, Yanis, Jap's gonna actually take a piece he was not expecting. Just completely knocked. Never saw it coming. Same story here for Noarale and Yanis. Unfortunate circumstances unfolding.
Two quick pickings for Kharko as he gets those eliminations needed to keep themselves up just a bit longer. And if I'm not mistaken, they might have even just caught the medallion as well, as now Kharko with the invisibility medallion from Shogun continuing on forwards. He's hungry for more as Gide just recuperate the rest of that loot that was used from going from this engagement. But this is some strong potential for this trio now.
Yeah, but Yanis had just completely got this game turned on his head. What looked so promising initially, dealing with Shogun's Arena, dealing with potentially having control of that medallion, now he's left to try and deal with scrambling as far up in placement as possible, as a solo can try to do, but Shogun's medallion would have made that job so much easier.
Even after all of that too, just 40 above. I think they were close to 300 below going into that engagement, which is why they had to take that fight, as now they've put themselves on, I would say, one of the most primed positions for this specific zone. The issue is, we saw what happened to Pink and Nevs earlier on when they were just 17 to 50 below. They couldn't find those shots, but hopefully Kide, Nako, and Kharko will be able to.
Kharko just kind of scouting out the fact that there's teams stuck closer towards that edge of zone, and they might be able, they are in a relatively central position, but yeah, they're just not going to be able to hold that spot if they're going to have to go take a fight up close instead. Vika, Veno, Flixie, they're also trying to make sure they don't get caught in the masses of everybody else rotating, but Veno's doing an excellent job at just making sure to look up. Doesn't want to blindly lead his team through on these teleports, and he's found a position that he wants on this side of the mountain.
If I'm not mistaken, Rift Island is also kind of on the edge here. It actually pulls towards Rift Island. Shogun's Arena is going to be in play here, meaning that I was going to say the trio up above, but it's actually Yanis is a solo. That's the only player on the island for now, before more people look for it. If you're able to get up there, it's going to be a good option to conserve materials, and it looks like Vico, Veno, Flixie are kind of looking at it. They're saying, hey, let's try and get closer and closer here. Maybe open an option to go up above.
Queasy's team, though, might have had the same idea. We've seen Queasy, Swizzy, and Murstache make late island plays in the past, but where they're currently at, completely outside of the congestion from where the rest of the lobby is starting to build up. Medius, Venya, and Pixie, though, they're going to be the ones currently in control of Shogun's Arena, just trying to stave everybody else off.
What's so good about this position is you get to not only conserve materials on all these zones, you get to cover yourself from a lot of potential tags during rotates, but you also get to make those tags yourself with the amount of vision that you actually have. So hopefully the trios up above will be making use of exactly that, as we look at Pix, Demus, and Darm already starting off strong with 6 eliminations, and they're saying, you know, we don't need the Rift Island, but we're just gonna get ahead here. They're rotating towards the area that was previously in the storm, so it's a lot less likely for there to be trios here.
So many places to hide as well.
Sad će Truleksa prije editat. Rip.
teams looking to get out of the mix, but Vico nearly gets the better end of Tayson and Trulex there, but Tayson and Trulex, they're not just dealing with Vico's team, they're also having to deal with the likes of Queasy on the other side, but just behind Vico, gonna recognize there's a team desperately trying to break into our box. It's another team that needs Surge instead. They're so weak, they just collapse immediately.
Marius je na Islandu. A zašto svaki put pula ova zona na Island, brate? Svaki game je na Islandu.
To refarm materials on rotates. Normally in endgame, you're trying to conserve materials. Here, Marius gets to refarm them as he rotates. As now, they're going to continue to just kind of take advantage of this position while everybody else down below keeps fighting.
Merstash probably doesn't mind, though. One of the original demons of low ground, and he's definitely in his natural environment at this stage, Takata.
Merstash 250 bol, to je dobro. To je respekt. Pade Regal.
Great job though, making use of their slightly elevated position to pick off those stragglers. Meanwhile, a lot of trios look to get on ahead now as Pixie, Vanya, Marius have made the play for high ground. They took their time and acted on it. As Darm, Demus, and Pix now continuing to kind of wait for this pull, as now it even pulled back towards them almost, so they can kind of hug the edge of Storm here and keep on going.
Still could use a material refresh. If they're gonna torque through and try to create space in that low ground, they're gonna need to get aggressive, but that's definitely a team that's capable of doing so. Gotta be careful though, also want to commit to the low ground because this team on height, Marius, Vanya, Pixie, spraying everyone below, making it feel like it's impossible to actually TP forward.
So much went their way. All they have to do is close it out now, continuing to apply pressure on any potential trio that might be looking for height, as Merstash has to be careful, currently leading the pack in terms of eliminations.
Merstash je van.
Continue that forwards as he's been cracked down to just 50 HP. His teammates need to help him out here as the minis get popped. The aggression comes through. It's Mr. Savage Mongrel, a full trio looking to get into their boxes. Swizzy's gone down. It's all up to Merstash and Queasy now.
Merstash having to immediately box and look for a shield refresh. Is that split separation for a second too long? Swizzy having been eliminated there is going to be such a big issue. But Scroll, Sky, iDrop more than happy to take over the low ground. And in fact,
Hris je isto živ. Scroll fokusa Hrisa full.
Take a look at Demon's Darn Pigs. They are looking incredibly healthy. Oni masking in front of zone here. This could be a solid match to put themselves right back up the leaderboard and solidify a place in that top three. Even first place once again, staying ahead on low ground. Vico, Venom, Flixie though, looking now. Is it the time to take height? When can we look for the opportunity?
Cât se high? Cât se high? Really?
The skies, Scroll, iDrop, Sky. They might actually encounter Demus.
Pade Tajs. Pade Pix, aha, možda rezoj. Pade Čić. Pade Trulex, gotovo. Veno isto van.
Veno's been left alone, another solo once again. A lot of these top trios getting taken out.
Pade Demus, gle ovaj brat živi dalje. Hris čilo.
263 points, getting closer and closer to leading the pack. Now all up to him.
Merstash dead.
Ride the wave here, does not want to get ahead of Storm. You want to play the backside when you're a solo, as Veno now has to find another one. It's going to be
Queasy.
taking him out with a singular pump as he continues.
Yeah, bigger.
Forwards.
Nah, Veno actually just said what's good to his former teammate, but Veno, he's not out of it to think of it just yet. He's still got to deal with so much.
Neće ni Veno niš previše izvući. Da. Teni pao. Skvi je van. Pade i Skvi. Pade i Batman. Pade i Volk. Mislim da je Hris top 4, a? Da. Hris top 4. Dobro, to je solidan game. Jarko ga isto ugasio. Da. 3-3. Ajdro Popov. Ajdro Popov.
Not only that, it's now a 3 versus 2 as well. Vanya, Pixie, everything was in their favor, but now odds are against them as iDrop, Sky, and Scroll have to make the decision on how to close this off. I don't think they have
Ali nemaju heal-off, ja mislim.
here. It must come down to the aggressive play, the 3 versus 2. Can Vanya do it? Can he do enough damage to let his teammate Pixie close this one off?
I don't think heal off is an option here to Kata. Vanya's gotta make something.
Dobro, Vanja, ti si ga ugasio na brzinu.
He's gonna get knocked. I drop from afar, just beaming at Pixie, who's trying to heal.
Sky heal off.
Sky as well, though, still playing.
Ima i small fry.
But there is a heal off here. Pixie does have the advantage.
Medkit's going put to use. Sky has the small fries. I'm trying to do some calculations. I'm not sure who has more time here. Is Storm Sickness gonna be a play? I don't think so. Pixie with the last minute. But Sky's not gonna let that one slide.
Dobar.
He gets the edit, and with one pump, he closes it off for his trio.
All of that space that iDrop had been tarping out before, and that was the moment they'd been waiting for. And Pixie, a solid attempt to make that heal-off opportunity come to fruition. Unfortunately for him.
Dobar, idemo vidjeti leaderboard. Leaderboard glasi ovako, Seti i dalje zakucano zadnji. Zakucano. Viko, Veno, Flixi prvi. Preuzeli prvi. Ajdem Sky Scroll drugi, Vanjak, Pixie, Marius treći. Hris je došao na 4. mjesto. Pix Darm Demus 5. Ovaj Ukrajina 6. Kvizi 7. Mr. Savage 10. Nathan je pao. Failo je sad 2 gema za redom 0 bodova. Trulex 19. 9, 11, 15, 11. Ne može preći taj top 11, nema šans. Mislim da najviše damage, ne mora biti. Merstaš imao 4k damage u prva 2 gema. Tako da ono.
Thank you so much, guys. Sky, Scroll, and iDrop, they consistently have made it to the top 10. I believe all
Nego
five
prenosi ko onaj FNC.
finally mini miner, they're able to go the extra mile and claim that victory royale.
Wow, that was absolutely incredible. What an end to that game. I mean, when we saw that Vanya and his team actually had those heals, I thought, right, yeah, Pixie is going to be able to just heal off here, easily win the game. What are the chances, Levin, that it's actually his
Ovo je 33, 32. Što bi 33, 32.
and he goes into the builds of iDrop, Sky, and Scroll. And I guess that's something that we don't really speak too much about when it comes to heal offs. You have to make
Čit,
sure that
Mateja,
all the
di
builds
sto
are yours.
ova štaba sela.
Like, it was not in his control. He ran out of heals. The game was literally lost. He hears Pixie healing off, and he just.
Došli do endgame, po 12 gamea i sigurno bi igrao bar 3 endgame.
I genuinely was like getting ready to say, okay, wow, yeah, that's the win for Pixie Marius. Another win from a team sitting up on the island, saving all their mats.
Za Kinch premium.
And
Aha.
then that happens. I mean, Sky. Wow, he must be really feeling. Of course, he's been. I think that the player on this team, he's been getting the most love of late in terms of just his prowess, being a leader,
Koga
being,
Sky zaidi to,
being
pa.
everything the team needs. Pixie, a false sense of security for sure. Definitely was not expecting that to be Sky's wall of all people, but yeah, what a finish to that game. Unreal.
Well, we hope that Vanya and his trio will pick themselves up, because that's the second time they come within a hair's breadth of taking a victory royale. So I'm sure that's going to do great things for them in terms of the leaderboard, which we'll be checking out after this break.
Break. Mislim da ćeš 5 najviše damage na 11.na najviše build up list. Pa dobro, to je moguće. To je copyright zbog ovog, brat, 100%. Ovo je 100% copyright song, 100% mi leti copyright pa se live. Ljudi, tu sam za 2 minutice. Za 2 minutice. Šta rada se večera?
Ima ništa. Šta rada se večera?
Parte, per dove sono cazzo. No, se cazzo di capo per non lo ci si va. Certi fatto a te. Facciamo. Va? Guarda, non è bella. Dove sta? Non è più buono. White Nation Championship. White.
Evo me. Došli mi stick drifta kontroler. Pazi što mi stick drift. Doktorski. Gle. Kako me trola je. Idemo u last game. Za 3 minute game.
It's also really exciting. Oh,
Ui.
apologies. Go right ahead, Devon.
No, I was just gonna say, like, the way the leaderboard is shaping up is so exciting. I feel like you're probably gonna say the exact same thing, Frankie, right? Where, like, you got two teams at the top who are, like, big favorite teams, right? Of course, Vico, Venom, Flixie have started to pick things up in recent games, especially after that win there. Then you have iJoe, Sky, and Scroll, who we obviously said were a dark horse team, but again, just another team that's been super in contention. Then the next two teams are just two last chance qualifying teams in Vanya and TV's teams.
Kako što da je copyright? Ovo 100% copyright pjesma. Dam se kladi. AR katana, ne vrijedi.
Had the high ground. The second game where
Katana je okej kad je leak low.
Literally so close to that victory royale mini minor, and I think this is consistency. It's something we're going to see from them going into day 2.
Yeah, and when I saw them, you know, on high yet again in a really good situation, another sort of 3v3 situation, I was going to cross-reference back to the last chance qualifier where they had a very similar situation in game 2 and then game 3, and they ended up winning that second game, the game 3 there.
3-30 bom. Da, sigurno.
Down here at this current moment we're about to see, I think it's Vanya that actually just whiffs. I think he just completely misses his shots as he drops down onto iDrop, Sky, and Scroll, and that, unfortunately for them, was the reason why he went down, and it's just so unfortunate. But they had all the success left, and they had all the win conditions in the heels, but they just couldn't execute it.
Yeah, as good as these guys are doing, and I mean, they are doing very impressively, right?
Yeah.
I am starting to get a bit concerned like this, just because like they've now had way too many games where they're like second place, and I'm like, like, what's happening here? Do you know what I mean? Like, when I watched their last chance qualifier games, as much as they eventually did get the win in the third one, it's like the one where they came second, and even in their win, they looked a bit shaky when they were up on high, and it's like final 2v2 or 3v3, sorry. And then here in these games again, just 3 second places. It's like, come on, guys, like you gotta get the win eventually, right? Like you can't keep doing this.
Uvijek 8 parama free.
To be fair, I think is very impressive and would surprise a lot of people with just how their season's gone.
A jebi ga, Mate, trebaš izbjegavati fajtove.
I'm sorry. Let's just quickly give props as well again to Pickstar and Demas as well, because this is your surprise trio and they are so incredibly aggressive for the fact that this is their first FNCS finals, right? And yet they are styling on everyone that they meet.
Yeah, I mean, it's rare to see teams and players perform so well, right? Obviously, last year we had Chap who burst onto the scene, got, you know, a couple second places, which was really impressive. But even then, Chap was playing with like a very experienced player in Teeny, right? You know, he's playing with someone who's got that top pedigree. All 3 of these guys aren't players who you consider having that top pedigree. They aren't players with that type of experience, but they are playing like veterans, right? You know, they're not even like playing scared or anything. You know, like I see people doing like the very easy, like lazy comparison of like, oh, they're like KORISTITE, you know, of course, because Polish trio, whatever.
Ja, moj KORISTITE.
When needed, like these guys are so impressive.
Failali ljudi život.
As I believe Taco said earlier on, and we're going to head back to Taco and Takata now because we've only got one more game for day 1 of the Major 1 finals, and it's arrived.
But the way that the day has been so far, though, I really wish that we could just see those next 6 matches immediately, as is Takata. But we are going to have to leave things up to just being a pleasant surprise, because that's the way the leaderboard has played out so far. And game number 6...
Ajmo sad vidjeti Kvizi I Kami.
You don't have to wait long, Taco. Last match of the day. So many storylines being put into place. Last chance qualifier teams in the top of the leaderboard. Vico, Veno,
Sve ti ovo što da kvitim, ma nije ovo što da kvitim. Zašto bi kvitao?
They're in 7th place. This is a contender that a lot of people thought would be able to take down the whole tournament. They've just had difficulties at Seaport being contested. Some games didn't get any points, and just in a similar situation is gonna be Cherry, Kami, and Seti that hopefully
Neće.
the whole day they can at least close it out with 1 win under their belt in this.
Veno umro.
One that could just at least
Sen, aha, fuck. My bad. Merstaš je isto umro. Podasaj low. Kami isto van. Što se vamo desilo? Ona je brat ubio Venu od tamo. Kvizi ubio momsi. A dobro, zašto mi sad switchali se setio?
What's going on? It was a beam out of the sky, it seems. Maybe unlucky bus path. Something didn't go their way, but fortunately enough, it was so far.
Vidio sam.
They're gonna get the reboot. Saw Hijo getting close, but nothing confirmed yet as Akira
Ovi su svi van.
completely cracked. And it looks like for the first
Svi su van.
Seti and Chari are kind of leading in terms of this early game engagement, but as you see in the mini-map at the bottom right, there's other trios that kind of know of this. And once this fight ends, a whole new one's gonna begin.
The problem is we've
Pada X-Viz, dobar.
have the advantage HP wise and still fizzle out ultimately when it came to taking those early game fights. Still
Cherry zero match.
big advantageous position here, but Akira gotta close in.
Akira dead. Ide Podasaj. Hoće li Podasaj opet 1v2? Neće. I sad dolazi novi trio.
This is it. Finally, wait, hold on. Pause my thought. I forgot the third party's gonna come through as right now.
Pada Kami.
Felt the glory, felt the excitement, but it only lasted for half a second. As now
Pada I Seti.
shortly after is gonna get cracked. And just like that, it looks
Dolazi još jedan trio.
this third party is looking increasingly dangerous for Kami, Seti, and Chari.
especially if you're SETI, just dealing with the sheer
Došao još jedan trio.
as now only one left rolling around here, and that's going to be Shard
Hiđo
off
dolazi.
in the distance, but
Vera, kvizi kak je prošao?
problem later. Hijo, Trexer,
Kvizi ja mi nisu prikazali.
why go towards Flooded Frogs when we can just hit Lost Lake instead? We know what type of action's taking place here.
Exactly, as Robin now is going to look for a quick replace or maybe even an opening to jump on in with that shotgun, but so far nothing found. It's got to be careful. The edits come through, drop the 17 shield. And now both trios being so healthy in terms of shield, it might just end up in a
Kvizi ja mi nisu prikazali.
But Bepro's team has profited massively. 4 eliminations to start things off with. They might not have dealt all the damage, but they're not the only ones trying to get these early game value E-limbs. Adams
Oj, brat Jovan.
unexpecting that shot from that side, but now Rad's gonna be able to provide a little bit of coverage here. Using this bush on the edge of Hopeful Heights to try and stay concealed for the time being. Pixoski as well, waiting for an opportunity.
I'm surprised how much ammunition they're using. I mean, being so early into the match, you can see there's a limited amount of AR shots to be used here. As Crypulse is gonna switch to the shotgun as he does have more. But with just
Brate, nema metaka spreja ko debil.
if they end up getting into a box fight, that's only enough for 1 or maybe even 2 eliminations here.
They're just trying to hold down the high ground, but Pixoski taking an approach from the
Vanja.
side. Doesn't get the catch. The tag that he was hoping
Pada
for
Pixoski.
at the end of it all is Rad's now gonna try and pick up the pieces.
Looking for
Promašio ga.
anything he can possibly take here as the 2v2 continues, but with no materials to their name. Mini's gonna be popped alongside a big here, and I don't think this fight's
No,
gonna
not
be
Riley
for
does.
either team as the third party's gonna come through. It's Noah Riley who wants to close this one out. Chap gets right on in. Shots getting connected onto Rads, and it looks like that's gonna be a free knock for Chap as they continue on forwards. Frozy now too. Looking to see if he can even escape.
And these are valuable elimination points together as well. If you are Chap, Noah Riley, and Yanis, they've been kind of lagging behind the curve, and they don't want to find themselves too separated from where that top end leaderboard is at heading into day 2. They would love to just kind of run down some early elims, be able to prioritize their positioning a little bit more in that mid game as well. Noah Riley hasn't scouted out the fact that Frozy was inside of the building.
No, Riley me razočarao danas. Očekivao sam više od njega.
Noah Riley still giving chase. It almost feels inevitable at this point before Frozy goes down.
Yeah, shots are gonna come through. Knock short.
Andi, ne možeš.
I mean, I think they're gonna leave it at
Ne možeš, zato su isti bodovi ko danas.
quick 2 eliminations is more
Sutra.
than enough. As we look at Walks, Malabuka, and Ping, who are gonna take out Batman. Volko is fully cracked as well, as they're gonna continue the aggression, I assume, with the amount of damage that they've already done. As Volko now gets trapped. Both players looking to see how they can play on the defensive here. For Strokey, Volko
Pade
into
Volko.
shambles as Volko goes down. Now all left up to Fastrokey. 2 eliminations on the board already for Malabuka. Ping and Walks, and it looks like they'll be able to make it 3 here if they can catch up to Fastrokey, but with the Oni mask, it might take a little bit of time.
Yeah, but you also have Malabuka's accuracy that's gonna make that a little bit easier.
Jura, pozdrav. Ko mi na 6-6, da, to je najmoguće da se desi.
Sakura Stadium just outside of Tukul Terrace and Night Shift Forest, because it's going to give them a lot of value metal and hard material, always nice to gather early on so you can just play out those later box fights, make them a little bit more difficult for other teams to try and aggress you.
Pixie, Vanya, and Marius have chosen to take the elevated position here on a fight that has already finished with Noah Riley, Pixie, and co. But what I'm seeing is they have used the Oni masks. They've gotten out of that situation, but Demas, Darm, and Pix, on the other hand, are going to be continuing to play aggressive. They've already got 1 as they start to hunt down Pink.
And Nebs trying to provide a little bit of cover fire here to see if Pink can try to get away, but with the way that Pink and Nebs are so split currently, Demas, Pix, Darm, they're gonna opt to just take things by force here, Takata, as they continue to push their way up the mountain face, and Demas...
Kak ide našima? Evo ti ljudi dobro. Chris Tenis Quiz u 4. Krizi je 7. a Trolexu baš ne ide, oni su 20.
Darm and Demas to have to play as a duo now. Come back later. I'm not even sure if they got the reboot card, so it's going to be up to them to kind of play this one slowly now. On the positive side, I guess they already had an elimination, but it was Pix's elimination, which is the issue, even though I'm sure they did a bit of damage, so hopefully it's enough to kind of withstand these initial zones.
Tough break though, for sure. They're not the only ones trying to deal with it. Vico's team seemingly...
Pa Jura stavio panzer srpsku, pa piše svuda srpsku.
It's definitely put a little bit of a halt towards their initial search strategy. And they're trying to get something going over by Pump Power, but the way that they're falling back, they might even run smack dab into another team entirely in
I pade F9.
Lingering, probably just hoping
to
get some backup from his boys instead. It's gonna be all Vika, Veno, Flixie, just taking care of that elimination.
Looks like they're not done yet though. It's Kaid, MAPE, and Cringe who are going to be on the mountain close by. Instant Oni Mask from Veno, Vico, Flixie. They're hungry in this last match as they continue to apply some pressure, but the regroup is going to come through. A third party potentially getting closer as they have to be a bit careful here.
I think part of the problem too is that Vico having to play for that reboot didn't necessarily get to farm material he would have liked, but it might not matter when you're able to connect shots like that. Cade realizing it's more than just one team looking at me, it's also the leftovers of Pink's trio that he's trying to deal with here. And Veno, Vico, Flixie, they are more than healthy enough. They're content, at least for the time being, to continue to sit at the bottom of this mountain face. Surely they can hear the noise breaking out above them.
Something I love so much about Vico, Veno, and Flixie is they're always so aware of when they're taking fights, what's going on in their surroundings, how close any potential third parties are. They're always kind of minimizing that risk, and they do such a good job at it. That's exactly why they're able to kind of take these many fights and know when to disengage if they need to, but it looks like they're just going to continue with the rotate on.
Maybe
even recharge their water sprite before they continue forwards.
Eno demo gore.
Might as well.
Brate, svi u stormu, ono.
Sprite shine if you're that nearby.
Gledaj Trolexu Surge Base.
They were able to create so much success in that last lobby, and really are just the definition, Takata, of never give up. Because I think most players, if left in that kind of situation, would have just assumed that heal-off is gonna play out against my favor. Instead, Sky, I drop scroll, they continue to just kind of turbo through, and that quick stat says a lot. The fact that they are leading all teams in damage overall, that's a hefty amount to be putting out.
Yeah, especially consistently in a set lobby of this caliber. It's just that much more difficult. Marius now looking for a tag onto some of the players rotating in late, but it looks like Vico has got it knocked down. Veno looking to pick him back up.
Vico
looking at the mini-map, I only see one trio in sight. Either it was to the Storm or Nebs, Chino, and Pink hit some nasty shots.
It's a lot of time, though, to commit to playing the Storm, Takata. Even for a team like Veno, Flixie, and Vico, where we've seen them do this type of strategy before, it is just a lot of time invested. And they're gonna have to eventually charge their way into the edge of zone, and they know that they're trailing ever so slightly behind Pink's trio. But I'm not sold that they're willing to commit to an all-out engagement.
Speaking about all-out engagements, from the start of this major finals for Camiseti and Chari, they're gonna want a big game to close this one out. They do have another 6 matches tomorrow to make a comeback, but it all starts now if they're able to at least close it out on a solid match.
Uspio dipat, ne?
Fikiris and Skavi, though, we've
Ali
seen
svaki game im je taktika da tenis snika iza buildova do nekog fajta, ono. Svaki game.
in this trio. And Malabuka walks in Ping doing a great job of kind of fighting back.
The problem there for Teeny's team is Malabuka's trio fully understanding how pivotal this mountain elevation is on the Big Ben tunnel side. They know that there's going to be plenty of teams. They're going to be rotating in a little bit later towards that edge of zone, and when you're so high up, they're going to be able to get a good overview of what's happening by Shogun's arena itself, and it's going to make things a little bit more difficult as well for the team trying to full out claim Shogun's arena, dealing with another team in such a high ground position.
Yeah, I mean, in the last game, Vanya, Marius, and Pixie were able to have Shogun's arena throughout those moving zones throughout the end game. And if they're able to do it again back to back, I mean, that's a good amount of positioning and just odds in their favor of having a solid performance. Third place now going into this last match. A big game. Not even a big game. I mean, just outperforming the other trios above them is all they need to do to take that first place spot. As we look back onto Darm, Demus, and Pix, who hopefully are able to pick up their trio here, but they might just not even have the reboot card. I don't think they do.
This would be tough regardless.
A brate, ovaj Demus, još koliko je zadnji game danas? Ovo je zadnji game danas. Tako da ono, Veno najvjerojatnije mina day one.
Still, for a day one performance overall, in the grand scheme of things, Takada, they have set themselves up quite nicely for coming in strong on day two.
Skvi, fight, 10-1.
They just want to get themselves heavily on the board.
I Chris je isto, brate, usaravaju ih ljudi.
Gonna have to play defensive for a second here until they recuperate. This is a trio that qualified through the last chance qualifier and now is in 4th place on the leaderboard going into this last match of day 1 for the EU Major Finals. They do not want to get eliminated before making it to the late game. Not too good in terms of materials. They've been constantly fighting, so it's kind of shown off.
Chris je 250 bilo. To nismo baš viđali često. Da je Chris bilo.
I definitely want to fight though. Want to maybe swap out some of these kinetic blades that Atrus is rocking with for a Void Oni mask. If players have got him, Jew.
Teni opo. Opa I Chris. Uletimo katanom.
135 above, but at what cost? Lost Haris, Teeny now gone down as well. Skavi
Pada Skvi.
having to do whatever he possibly can to get out of this situation. Shark Jew are going to be able to clean that one up.
Shark and Jew, for a moment there, it really seemed like Jew
was in
trouble. Demus beamed inside of the bush. No time
shit on. Pada roba.
Not gonna let that one slide too easily, as now Demus is gonna be able to be brought back, and not only that, they're gonna be able to get the loot from those eliminations. I'm not sure how much it might be, but it might just be enough.
Marius je 400 above.
Marius now has taken some shots. It's gonna be, I believe, was that Noah close by on the other side of that box, but Demus now have to find a way to get back to zone.
Even with that elimination, though, they're just barely above that damage threshold. They've got Chino and Nevs on the other side of their walls, but Chino immediately eliminated.
Darm.
Soon to follow. Darm and Demus are a
Ošurili su ih.
These players now as a duo in their first major finals, taking down veterans like it's nothing, player after player, setting themselves up for a potential of solidifying themselves at the top half of this leaderboard. Vico, Veno, Flixie looking to maintain their spot in the throne, currently in the first place position going into this match. They do have to rotate the zone though here, so I highly doubt they're going to be looking for any engagements. It's more focused on the rotate. The issue is 86 below. They do have to get some damage done. Will they try and get the zone first and then look
Gaš lepo s game, da. Idem malo iščilat, panem live na večer u 11 na TikToku, glavom NA Central. NA Central će isto biti zabavan, ima isto dobrih timova, dosta, tako da ono. Seo će živ, a?
Make sure that you don't have to expend any more unnecessary material. Vico and Flexi, the Takata, they have been the clear favorites heading into this Major 1 finals. So for them to now be in our match 6, such a crazy position, but Robin might help alleviate some of that pressure thanks to Vico getting good elimination onto him, but still, this is our
Vico vino je ovaj game. Dam sklad. Još Kvizi je živ, jel tako? Vada je Kami, to je... Kami umro, a? Ma, Dominik da je mogao za 10 mapa staviti to, brate. Ali ne vjerujem da će to helpa.
For Nako, Kide, and Harko though, being only 4 below is a tragedy as they just need one more shot on any player in the surrounding areas. The good news is though, while his teammates look for damage, Kide might be able to fish up a little bit, but Flexi has been knocked as well. Both players go down. It's all up to Vico.
Vico ih šuri solo.
Trio going into this match, now left as a solo. It's all or nothing for
Vico. Jebi ga, Vico. Ugasio si ga. Ugasio si ga. Ništa od vinanja. Stavi, ali neće to ništa helper, brat. Kamid umro. Umri čari. Gotovo. Opet 0 bodova game. Ode i set.
Oni Master are going to come through. Demon Storm inside of the zone already. Looking back on all the trios rotating in, they put themselves in prime positioning despite being a duo for, I would say, a majority of
Ali šuri Vico. Vico solo šuri, brat.
goes back towards the zone. One refresh could be all it takes as he's only down to 8 builds. 8 wooden builds. He needs an elimination. He needs a refresh. He has to go to a box here.
Krio ga pump. Umro Ciknesa, šta? Ili? Da staje sac. Pa oće, zato jer svi zaborave maknit sac i kupe Battle Pass.
From second place, I drop. This opened up an opportunity for them to take that first place spot. The issue is, he's lost Sky. He's lost.
Ne brini se Dominik, znam ja šta radim, uopšteno. Pola njih zaboravi maknit sac i uzmu Battle Pass. I free. Ja ne zaboravim. Poloba! Pasti u turnament. Ne mogu zato jer ne mogu specat tamo, brate. Morat ću u pubovima. Morat ću u pubovima hosta, brate. Ja se dam klaj da će biti minimalno 2 cheatera i teameri jedni. Dominik svi će morat, jer u slučaju da uzmeš V-Bucks da ja mogu na kraju streama pokazati, evo on je tu posle korak. Da im se uzima. Savage umr. Trulex je živ. Ne znam od Kviza živ, nisu ga prekazali cijelo vrijeme.
Everybody's crouched. Everybody's trying to move as little as possible, especially if you're eye drop.
Oh no,
But he's
eye
starting
drop.
to pick up his way through.
Ode eye drop.
Storm immediately scooping him out of the
Vjerojatno oni kao duo pop-offa. Kvizi na haju. Kvizi na haju, ljudi!
on this low ground and definitely
Ljudi!
Shut down, but meanwhile, up above, it's what we expect to see. Merstash, Queasy, and Swizzy once again. Once they make it out of Seaport, once they're able to play these late games, showing why they've had so much dominance on height, but Dorm has lost Demus. It's now a solo.
Misliš, Dominik, a?
Above, he has mats, he has a kinetic blade, even an Oni mask. He can make these rotates.
Razmislit ću.
It's a duo right beside on the other end of that box. Both just
Ne znam, ću gledat Vasu na onom FNC-u.
choose the safer route to rotate on forwards and continue claiming as many points as possible.
And the fact that he wasn't beamed out of the sky there, though, by Queasy, Swizzy, or Merstash is insanity. Darm just stuck inside of a metal cone here, hoping that he can maybe scramble together some kind of last-minute finish, but it's not going to come easy. Uppel, Fincheck, they're also in the same sort of scenario, except as a duo, but neither of them has shield. Both of them would need a siphon refresh of
Pixie
some
pop-off.
capacity. Pixie loses Vanya and now going to be forced to continue
Ne splashes.
down through this low ground, but he's got just one chance to connect another shot if they want to make sure that they have this full claim on the mountain face.
This is so difficult. I don't think they want to get any lower because there's a chance that this zone pulls right back up that mountain. So if they go down, it's going to be
Pade Darm.
back up. But Dorm has
Opali kao duo.
319 points is where he's going
Tyson ubio Eclipsa. Queasy full chilla. Lol, Dominik.
That elevation as Marius continues to play as a duo with Pixie.
Marius, he spotted out Nathan. Marius trying to confirm. All he needs is a knock, and then they can get plenty of material, hopefully, to just add to the count here.
Nathan Dumro.
Pixie, with that Shogun's medallion, the Invis could definitely
Jak se on ode. Eto, i onda ja imam viška kila.
Queasy and Merstash, though.
Tyson van. Tyson ga ugasio. Da.
As Tyson in the dirt doesn't have a chance.
A Trulex ga isto ugasio.
Back, it's all down to Trulex.
Left as a solo.
A, ode i Trulex. Dobro, top 6.
Forced to elevate themselves up this mountain, but in the meantime, it's Queasy's trail up above, getting free pickings on all the players that are trying to scale up this hill. The shots are getting connected. Yanis, Chap doing what they can, but what
Queasy, čovko, šta se desilo njima?
solo now? Queasy's been eliminated. Merstash has been eliminated.
Queasy Merstash opali. I solo na haju.
Moments.
Comeback, Blaha, Mixon went for the high
What?
take attempt, and it comes at a cost. Comeback having lost his teammates. Now it's going to be Noah Riley, Chap, and Yanis, one of our few
Swizzy treba fightat
still
comeback.
left together here in this endgame. They recognize the fact it's Marius, it's Pixie, it's only a duo, but
Swizzy još na full low.
eliminations first.
Sliding down the mountain, they have a few bills left. Marius needs to make something happen.
Marius dead.
Action goes right into
A i Swizzy je dead.
Swizzy gets taken.
A, on treba ići comebacka fightat na haju.
Invisibility medallion isn't going to be enough to clutch it out though. It's comeback up above. It's Yanis, Noah Riley, and Chap.
Ja sam rekao ono ako pokazuje masterclass danas.
Strong as they look up, they start shooting. All they have to do is finish these
Comeback ubija Pixija i Noah Riley wina game.
and it's free pickings for Noah, Yanis, and Chap down below.
Okej.
I might have spoke too soon.
Da.
Noah does finish it off in the end. Comeback.
Zadnji game, Noah Riley. Idemo vidjeti leaderboard. Leaderboard glasi... Pixi prvi. Pixi nam je prvi. Viko, Venom, Flizy drugi. Idrop, Sky Scroll treći. Pix, Darm, Demus četvrti. Swizzy, Queasy, Merstash peti. Hris je pao na 8. mjesto. Mongrali dalje tu drži 11. Trulex je 16. Trulexu treba pop-off game. Trulexu sutra treba pop-off. I naravno ovi debili zadnji. Opa, vidi ti Seti, a? Seti nam više nije zadnji. I Moneymaker 29. Da, općenito što se tiče Balkanaca, onako. Može to dosta bolje. Ja vas sad pozdravljam, idem da večeram, idem da gledam malo YouTube. Vidimo se navečer u 11 na TikToku, gledamo NA centra, možda upalim ranije pa ću hostat mapu, to ćemo vidjeti. Tako da vidimo se u 11 ljudi, uživajte mi, čujemo se i poz.